Okay, I'm going to hit. Okay, I just hit go live. Hey, everyone. So there is an update I want to share with you, too, when this is all done. So after we sign out for the end, there's something I wanted to share with you.
Oh, yeah, no worries. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, I think you can probably pin my screen if you want to see the side by side. If you want to see what's going out to, if you want to see what is going out to YouTube, you should be able to pin me.
Okay.
But yeah, I should be able to. Oh wait, let's see.
Nothing looks different my end from how it always has done. So
Yeah, so I'm not sure what you're seeing. That's basically what I'm wondering.
I'm seeing both of us.
Okay, so you're seeing the side by side. Okay.
Indeed, yes.
All right. Well, good. Problem solved.
It works. Excellent.
Yay. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, so you know the topic for today.
I do.
As I do, I have got a little intro to the topic, and then I think I'm going to pass it over to you for
Uh-oh.
the first pick, if you will.
The first pick. Okay, no worries.
We also have our buddy Brian is not going to be joining us today, but it was nice of him to stop in and say hi.
It was indeed. Yes, nice.
All right. I had have apparently a little frog in my throat.
Yeah. I've got the same issue, but then I can probably blame it on my my beverage of choice. Um, I've got a Trump favorite here.
What do you have? What is it?
It's sort of a Soda Stream Pepsi. There you go.
Oh,
But
okay.
it's kind of laced with something as well, shall we say? Nothing too drastic. Although I had a little bit of cider earlier on, so I've done a mixture. So there's a tiny bit of cider in there, but not much.
Who can blame you when you have to deal with me? That's all I'm saying.
Not saying I have to go on the hard stuff when we meet up.
Yeah. You have this to deal with, so a little cider in the Soda Stream Pepsi is a good thing.
That's it. And nobody can tell because it looks entirely normal.
And mine is simply coffee.
Coffee, yeah. Well, yeah. I suppose both of them will wake us up in slightly different ways. But yes, I have a bit of a toad in the throat as well, so I'll mute myself at any exactly what you're doing. I'll mute myself when the coughing urge gets to me.
Yeah. I normally up until
Although we're
this
professional podcasters now.
Indeed. Up until this year, I never really had much trouble with allergies, but this year it's really been bothering me.
Yeah, we have a similar thing. I have some very impressive trees outside of my window, and although I'm almost hermetically sealed, like a trash compactor compartment.
Well, perhaps as I get started, as we move along, perhaps Mr. Froggy will leave my throat, but we'll see.
Excellent.
We'll see. So probably best to actually get started.
Okay.
I do have an intro. I'm going to pass it off to you for the first. I mean, you don't have to do the first pick, but
Oh, no worries. Yeah.
I will have been jawing on long enough prior to passing it over to you that you should probably get the first one. Oh, important question. Do you have an essential app?
Important question. I sort of do, but it's kind of bizarre, my pick.
I love Bizarre.
Um, it's it's not exactly a Mac Essential app in a way, but it's accessed through my Mac, so it sort of almost counts nearly. It's very convoluted, very bizarre. So if you're up for bizarre, then that's great.
Well, let me ask you this. Is it more or less bizarre than my essential app pick of a book?
Um, it's kind of less bizarre because yeah, I'll possibly I'll try and go with mine possibly then maybe.
Yeah. So let's go
Although
with yours.
during when I describe it, you might think, "Oh my God, where's he going with this?"
Let's go with yours then. I do have one. I
Okay,
do have one just in case, but I'll save it. And I'm
excellent.
super excited about mine. But it is definitely something that can wait for the future. It's a replacement for a tool from Apple. And I have been using this tool from Apple, even though Apple has officially discontinued it and it no longer ships with new editions of macOS, and they do their darndest to get rid of it from my Mac every time I upgrade the operating system.
Wow.
I still have it, I still use it, but it's an Intel Apple utility, which means there's a limited life left to my ability
Yeah.
to use it.
It's on the way out potentially.
And so I thought, maybe I need to take advantage of some of these amazing AI developer tools to create my own version of it. And
Oh,
just on a whim, I opted to search instead for alternatives, and I found this essential app. So that's all the teaser I'm going to give everyone who's listening to this. And
excellent.
we'll do your pick this week, and then next episode that we do an essential app, I'll do mine. How about that?
Cool. Fab.
Yeah. All right. In the meantime, let's get started with this episode. Goodness gracious. Okay. Here we go. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Ready as I'm ever going to be.
As I'll ever be.
Yep. All right. Here we go. We are 13 minutes, actually 13 minutes and 13 seconds in. Lucky 13.
Wow, what could go wrong?
What could go wrong? Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. It's for Mac Guys Only, episode number 457 for August 23rd, 2025. Mac from scratch. Hey everyone, welcome back to For Mac Guys Only, the show for the Mac community. The show for the Mac community, where we share our thoughts and opinions on current Mac news and events. And joining me to take a look at rebuilding our Apple devices from scratch is Darren Davies. Hello, Darren. How you doing?
Hello again.
Hello again, indeed. Oh, a little tie-in to the reintroduction of the Mac in 1997. Instead of just saying hello, it said hello again.
It's hello again,
Yeah,
indeed. See what I did there? It's cool.
I see what you did there. And remember, we normally record for Mac Guys Only live on YouTube the second and fourth Saturday of the month. And if you'd like to come out, ask questions, and be part of our live studio audience, be sure to subscribe to the show at youtube.com/FMEO TV. And if you are joining us live on YouTube, I'll be keeping an eye on the chat room too. So if you have any questions or comments as we move along, be sure to drop them in that chat room, and we will try to address them here on the show. Well, Darren, I gave you a little preview of this episode's topic, but I came across an article on 9 to 5 Mac the other day that I thought was an incredibly intriguing thought experiment. If you had to start your entire Apple ecosystem from scratch, what would you pick and why? Now, this article that I came across, again, it was on 9 to 5 Mac. It was by Michael Burkhart. And in this article, he broke down his own ecosystem choices by MacBook, Mac desktop, iPhone, Apple Watch, iPad, and even, excuse me, and even AirPods. Now, interestingly, he didn't opt for any of Apple's home-oriented devices like the HomePod, though maybe he's waiting for that mythical Apple robot with the iPad face that we've all been hearing about. Now, the key to the article, of course, is the idea that we typically purchase devices over time. We purchase a little here, we purchase a little there, a little upgrade here, a new device there, that type of thing. But if the ever-present elephant in the room actually, enters the room and begins smashing your Apple devices against the wall, and now you're left with a pile of aluminum and glass shards in place of what was your favorite nook to geek out in, you'd suddenly find yourself needing to purchase everything at once. And as I thought about it, this is actually a lot like helping someone pick their first Mac, or helping them select a replacement for their aging 2015 Mac Mini or iMac. But when it comes to picking a new Mac for yourself, well, that changes things. You think differently about the process. You think differently about your needs. You think differently about the best specs to get. And, if I'm being completely vain, you think about what would look good on your desk. But it's also different because we're talking about building an entirely new ecosystem from scratch. You've got nothing. You have no old Mac to migrate. You have no old phone to port your number from. You have no watch on your wrist. You've got a blank slate. But you also have a budget, so we can't go nuts here. In fact, I would argue that someone starting over wouldn't necessarily run out and replace the entire Mac and caboodle all at once. But instead, what they do is pick and choose the most essential pieces of their new ecosystem and then continue to build from there. And if you think back to your earliest days of being an Apple user, that's exactly what we did, isn't it? I mean, you bought the Macintosh, maybe you bought a laser writer, maybe you bought some other piece of equipment to go along with that Mac that's sitting on your desk, although there wasn't a whole heck of a lot to buy to go along with it, if I'm being honest. But as time went on and you replaced that original Macintosh with something newer, as time went on and Apple introduced new devices, you started to add them to your ecosystem. But now again, we're starting from scratch. But I also wanted to put another limit on this. I'm going to suggest that as we approach this, we approach it from the standpoint of starting from scratch in a home environment, and that we don't take into account work or office computers or devices. There's a reason for that. And the reason is, if I think about replacing all of my Apple devices at home and the office, it's just too overwhelming. That's one. But also because I would wager that most folks are not in my position of working for themselves. And when you work for others, there are IT departments and other decision makers that are involved within the chain of picking new hardware for your desk, like those who hold the checkbooks. And you're not always going to have the luxury of telling IT what they should install on your desk. You're going to get what you get, and you better like it, even if it's running Windows. So I thought we could tackle this little thought experiment with thanks to Mr. Burkhart and build our new Apple ecosystem from scratch. And I would like to begin on the desktop because this is for Mac eyes only, after all. So it makes sense to start with the Mac. So if you don't mind, Darren, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you. If you were starting over your ecosystem with a new Mac, what would you get?
Wow. Well, that's derailed me slightly because I was actually going to start on the iPad side
Oh,
because
interesting. Well, you can
uh,
start there if you want to. That's all right. You can
oh,
start with the iPad.
okay, okay, fair enough. But I think the main reason for starting with the iPad is it's become my primary computer, really. I do more on the iPad than I do on anything else,
Interesting.
interestingly. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting take on things, and which takes priority. So yeah, I think well, I would start on the with if I was replacing everything. It's funny what the scenarios were. You mentioned the scenarios early on. My scenario was uh, 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 all of my Apple gear disappeared in a puff of smoke, and I happened to have a magic genie come out of a bottle and say, right, we can replace everything. Let's do a list and make sure we get everything replaced. So mine was not involving money in a way because it was a magic genie granting me my wishes. So that's the way my mind worked.
I think we all need a magic genie for sure, but I think
Absolutely.
the best most of us could hope for is an Apple Card with 0% interest for 12 months. That's
Oh,
about as close to a
indeed.
magic
Yeah.
genie as I can get personally.
Absolutely. So yeah, I did change that up and think, okay, no, magic genies are fairly rare, so I'm going to have to think about the elephant in the room, as you say, or one of the elephants, which is someone's got to pay for it, and it's probably me.
Yeah. And by the way, I am talking about a real elephant. I mean, we could we
Oh,
look
okay.
we could name actual events that could happen that would require you to replace your entire Apple ecosystem, but they're not fun to talk about. And so when I have these discussions with clients and we talk about backups and why it's important to have a
Oh,
backup,
yes.
my scenario is always the elephant that comes charging in the room and picks up their computer and smashes it against the wall. You need to have a backup, right? Well, in
Yes.
in this particular scenario, we need to come up with a scenario where we've lost all of our Apple devices for whatever reason that might be, and there are some bad reasons that that might happen. But in this case, it is an elephant that comes in the room and smashes everything. So that is that is our awful situation that has happened that has
Perfect.
caused us to replace everything.
Excellent. Okay,
Yeah,
I'll go with that one. The fact that I have to pay for it and a real elephant has come in and stomped all of my kit.
indeed, indeed.
Um, but that does mean I mean I do have some data backups in various places, but that does bring the spectre in the room, as you say, about data itself. Um, because I use iCloud and iCloud syncing and various other things like purchases, my movies are generally purchased, well, almost actually always purchased on Apple Movies. So I have some cloud data. So if all my devices were stomped by a real elephant, then at least by logging into my new account, all of my data will just magically reappear. So my data doesn't physically exist. Um,
Yeah,
well, it exists in several places. I do have some other backups, so I could recreate everything if I needed to. But I do also have a very active iCloud environment there with all my data sitting there, beautifully synced. So as I replace my new devices with my lovely new list of things, um, it all will just come down to each device when I sign into my iCloud account, and I'm back to square one almost straight away. So there's that angle as well, the
yeah.
data angle.
Well, actually, I have a question about that. Let's derail the conversation about what hardware you would get for just a moment, because I am curious to ask, do you sync your desktop and documents folders to iCloud?
Oh yes, no, that's interesting. Um, uh, I did have in the early t times when that became a feature. Um, I think in the very early days, I could be wrong about this, but I think in the very early days it was ticked by default. And one day I turned on my computer and wondered what on earth was going on because it my usual locations for documents and desktop had kind of
It
moved.
changed. Yeah.
Yeah, so I quickly reversed that because I didn't like that situation, although it does make sense in a lot of ways for a lot of people to do it that way. But yeah, I don't have mine turned on for that. I like to specifically choose what goes in my iCloud drive and what goes elsewhere and to have them separate. So,
Yeah.
so that is a choice. I can see why Apple did that initially. If I think I remember right, they did. I'm not entirely sure about that, but it, it, it if Apple didn't make that a default when they introduced it, then I'm sure many people would never have discovered that they could enable that if they chose that that would be a really good direction for them. And for many people, it is a good idea, but it doesn't like sit very well with the way I do things. I like to have them separated. So yeah, as a long answer to your question, I have that turned off.
Yeah. I agree with you. I do not find that it's a good situation for my desktop and documents to be in. One, because it's a heck of a lot of stuff I'd be talking about throwing up into iCloud, for one.
Yeah, yeah,
Two, and I'm not a particular fan of the delay between wanting to open a document or folder and then being able to open it as I wait for it to download from iCloud, especially if it's a larger file that I want to open. There's a significant delay, and I'm just not a fan of that. So I opt for more storage on the Mac and reliance upon Time Machine backups. However, uh, yeah, I do agree with you that for a certain segment of the Mac using population, it's a good option. It's a very good option.
mm, yeah,
And
yeah,
that would be the segment that does not regularly back up their Macs. The assumption is that your desktop and documents contain the most important documents and,
yeah, yeah.
documents on your Mac is that they're going to be on your desktop or your documents folder. In truth, they may not be. In truth, they may be elsewhere on your Mac, and so those won't get backed up unless you, like you, specifically aim to save it in iCloud.
Yeah.
So it is a good option. I also noticed for the first time the other day, I did not notice this in the Finder's settings until very, very recently. In fact, I think it was just this last week I noticed this. Under the general settings for the Finder, there is now a checkbox that says sync desktop and documents folders. That
Oh, okay, that's nice.
did
That's
not
nice.
exist prior to relatively recent release of Sequoia, I don't think. I don't even think it was
Yeah.
there in an early version of Sequoia. I think this is, maybe I missed it, but I just noticed this week that there is now a checkbox under General that says sync desktop and documents folders. And then underneath in tiny letters, it says this is going to sync to iCloud. So it is a different way to enable that feature. But again, it may or may not back up what you need to restore your Mac in the event of a catastrophic failure. So Time
Yeah.
Machine
Yeah, that's right.
and or some other backup method like Carbon Copy Cloner, Super Duper, ChronoSync is going to be a good way to ensure that your Mac is backed up. Even if you don't keep it connected all the time, please at least connect a backup drive once a week,
Yeah, once
if at
every
all
now and then.
possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Ideally,
Yeah,
all
I
the
mean,
time, but
it's interesting you say about the reaction speed for iCloud and so on, and I do have mine set to. I don't have very many folders set to permanently exist on my local storage, so it's fairly dynamic. Um, Maybe I just deal with a lot of smaller files than what you yourself do. Um, but I've noticed from my end the speed of the sync speed is really really good. So I'll do an edit or I'll create a new file, and it just the little circle appears to say that it's updating iCloud for that change, and it literally takes seconds. Sometimes I don't even notice it happens. So to me, an extremely good system, and I do sympathise as well with a lot of people whereby managing their data is kind of a challenge.
Yeah.
And sometimes people will just not, if they have to manually plug in a drive to backup, they often forget, or they just don't do it, or it's too complex. It's like, even
Yeah.
though you can just set it up once and just plug it in and you're done, and there's a nice indicator on screen to say, yep, that's it, you're backup, you've done a backup now, that's good. It's still a lot to handle for some people. So it's like, if you can point your most vital files to sync via iCloud, and you do nothing else, at least that's something, because your data doesn't then just exist in one spot. So I think it's a really, really good, even though it's a sync service and you shouldn't really think about it as a backup.
Right.
In practice, that data does exist in Apple's data centers, beautifully encrypted to yourself, so nobody can rummage through it too much, or at all, actually, hopefully. And oh yeah, cross fingers. So in a way, because Apple backs up their own services and their own data centers as well, in a way, you've got a remote backup handled by someone else. So even though you shouldn't treat it like a backup yourself, and you should have at least one other copy of your data, that data is kind of backed up by Apple, at their side. So that can be quite handy for people, especially if they don't want the complexities of dealing with their own data. They can offload that burden in a way to Apple, to do the backups for you. And then you don't have to buy your own backup drives and cycle them around and know what you're doing and format things and copy data around it. So they do it all for you, but you shouldn't really rely on it as a day-to-day backup, at least. So I think you should still have a backup, of course, but
Yeah.
it's still a good system, which does in a way include a backup, just done by someone else.
Yes. And I think that's a very, 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 I'll emphasize it 3 times. Very,
Oh,
okay, that's
three
four.
fairies.
That's four. Um, Good point to emphasize, strongly emphasize, is that when you turn on, and I'm going to re-emphasize it for everyone right now, what you just said, when you turn on syncing desktop and documents to iCloud, that is not a backup. You should not
Yes.
consider it a backup. It is merely a way of uh, making sure or ensuring that your documents and desktop items are available on other Apple devices, whatever those other Apple devices might be, including an iPad or an iPhone.
Yes.
But it is not a backup, because in the event that a
Mm.
file gets deleted, yes, there is a little bit of recovery time there, but you shouldn't count on those files being there. And after that recovery time goes away, there isn't any other way to restore it. Whether Apple is backing up things or not, good luck trying to reach out to Apple and say, hey, dudes, I got this file that I deleted 3 months ago, and I'd like you to go into your backup system and restore it for me. Uh-uh.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. But with a time machine backup, you can do that. When your time
Indeed.
machine drive, and time machine backup drive should be approximately double the size of your internal storage, or double the size of what you want to back up. So if you have, let's say, 512 gig internal storage and you've got a 1 terabyte external drive that you're storing stuff on, your time machine drive should be approximately 4 terabytes, because you have, about 1.5 terabytes of storage. You need double that. You're probably not going to find a 3 terabyte hard drive. So four
Make it a 4.
terabyte
Yeah.
external storage. And by the way, a good old fashioned hard drive is good enough. You do not need a 4 terabyte
Yeah.
SSD. A 4 terabyte hard drive is good enough. Okay, so with the backup discussion out of the way, with the whole iCloud query resolved, let's go to that desktop Mac that you were about to replace.
You mean the iPad?
Oh, the
But
iPad. That's right. You were going to start with the iPad. Yes.
yeah, yeah.
And that's interesting because I'm not going to start with the iPad for a very specific
Oh,
reason, but we'll get to that when I get to
okay.
that.
Okay.
But you're going to start with the iPad because the iPad has become, as you said, one of your primary computing devices on a daily basis.
Yeah. The if I was doing a replacement, the big question would be, would I replace it with exactly what I've got now? And I think the answer is yes, although um, there's a little bit of a caveat to that because it's one of the expensive ones. So my current
Mm.
iPad is a rather lovely or slightly old now, but, so I'll probably be thinking about a replacement soonish. Um, but that is the 12.9-inch iPad Pro is my current iPad, and I just absolutely love it. Love the size. It has 4 speakers on it, so I often use it as is. So the sound quality is pretty important as well. So every aspect of that iPad fits me perfectly. And I think my first replacement device would be another 12.9-inch iPad Pro. Although when you do look at the prices on there, you think, oh dear, do I can I slim it, and can I go down to an 11-inch 11-inch Air or something like that, which does make sense. Although I really like the Face ID and the fact that I can just pick it up and use it instantly, and everything is stunning. So could I give up stunning and go back down a little bit and just use my fingerprint instead and go for an 11-inch Air instead? But those extra 2 inches, that's
I like how you
it's really
referred
good.
to it as slumming. You'd be slumming with an 11
I'd
inch
be slumming it
iPad
down.
Air. Very nice.
That's right. I mean, for many people, an 11-inch iPad Air is a fabulous device, but I'm not sure if I could give up the size and those 4 wonderful speakers in each quadrant. So whatever you're doing on the iPad, audio is forever perfect. I even sometimes I'm not sure if it's in my head. It could be, but I even get um, sort of like a surround sound feeling that
Hmm.
audio is being processed to be super wide and potentially right around me. So even though it's not involving headphones or anything else, those 4 speakers do make a huge difference on the audio quality, and it's almost like a little mini surround sound system.
Well, okay, so I have two questions. One is practical and the other is hypothetical. But let's start with the practical one. So you've got this 12.9-inch iPad. This is going to be the very first thing you run out and
Yeah,
replace
it's the first thing I buy. Yeah.
after the elephant does his duty in
Unspeakable
your room.
things.
Unspeakable things to your current Apple gear. You're going to run out and get this 12.9-inch iPad Pro. What about accessories? What do you get to go along with that iPad Pro to allow it to be one of your primary computing devices?
Very good question. Um, Currently, I have no accessories at all. I just use it as it is. I don't even have a case because it often stays here,
Yeah.
and I don't travel around with it. If I did, I would be upping the accessory angle there, and I would definitely at least get a case. But for replacement purposes, for what I do now, especially as you were saying, the angle would be in your home. Um, I've no need of anything at all. I just use it as it is, and it's perfect for me as is with no accessories required.
No Apple Pencil?
I do not have an Apple Pencil. I do have one of those what you would say is like a $1 dead flesh squidgy ended thing that pretends to be a pencil. I have one of those, so just a just a $1 pretend pencil.
Speaking of which, I was talking to someone the other day about potential Apple Pencil alternatives, and there are a bazillion of them
Yeah,
on quote big box stores like Amazon and whatnot, including from companies like ESR that otherwise make really great accessories. And it turns out, from all I can tell, these are about as darn near as you can get to an Apple Pencil 2, not the Pro Pencil, but
oh
the
yeah,
Apple
yeah,
Pencil 2 for a fraction of the cost. They don't connect via Bluetooth, which is interesting. Some of them
yeah.
do. There is one from ESR that does connect via Bluetooth and also works with Find My. So for $26, you can get a really interesting Apple Pencil alternative. And quite frankly, for the cost, some of them are as little as $10. I almost, when this person was
You
asking me
always bought
about
one.
them, I almost bought one just to see how good or how bad they are.
Yeah.
And because my reaction was, no, no, don't look, you get what you pay for. Don't get a $20 or $10 Apple Pencil alternative. Pay the $69 and get the Apple Pencil.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. You do get what you pay for. Yeah.
you get what you pay for. But on the other hand, I thought, let me go out and see what legitimate reviews are out there. Not like reviews on Amazon and stuff, but legitimate reviews from sources that I trust. And there are actually some fairly positive reviews for these devices. They admit they don't offer things like pressure sensitivity, but then neither does the Apple Pencil 2. So I have to say, if I had an iPad that would work with them, and I don't. The iPad I currently have, which is part of my discussion later, the iPad I currently have only works with the Apple Pencil 1. But
Mm.
if I had an iPad that it would work with, I'm tempted to spring $20 and try one just to see.
Yeah.
My expectations wouldn't be high; they would actually be quite low. But I am especially the ESR one with the Find My functionality. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
I don't
true.
know. I'll give it a try,
It's the big one would be palm rejection not being a
which they
thing.
have.
Um,
They have palm
oh,
rejection.
they do have.
They
Oh, that's
do.
interesting because
They
my one
do.
dollar option doesn't have palm rejection, of course, because it's just
It's just a capacitive tip.
a
Yeah,
splishy bit of rubber. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, yeah. And these are not that. These have replaceable
Excellent. Oh,
nibs.
that's a step up from
They
what I've
have
got then.
palm rejection. They have
Oh, that's good then.
angle tilt
Oh,
sensitivity.
angle as well.
They
Wow.
have
Okay, that's
they
fine. That's good then.
pretty much
Yeah.
match the feature set of the Apple Pencil 2.
Wow.
And I'm a little stunned by what I discovered in researching how good these are or aren't. And admittedly, some of them are not so good and some of them are better. So you kind of have to do your own research. I'm not going to endorse one or the other here, but gosh, I was really close to just
Mm.
buying one to see what it's like. So
Yeah, so I probably wouldn't buy anything of that type because I just don't do that much. If I was doing a lot of markup or I was doing any artistic and potential photo retouch, that sort of thing, then I would invest in something more robust, as it were, than my $1 little bit of rubber.
and those $1 capacitive tip pencils, you can probably go to a job fair and pick one up free on a
That's
giveaway
it. Yeah,
table.
yeah, they are. I think I did get mine for free actually.
Oh, I've got a bunch of those sitting around, and honestly, I never really thought they worked all that good. But just for tapping the screen, they're fine, But
Yeah,
so that's
if
really
you know their
interesting.
limitations, you can get around. Yeah, yeah,
So you'd start with the iPad Pro 12.9 inch, no accessories, no Apple
yep.
Pencil, no keyboard, No case. I
Yeah.
get the no case. I mean, I really don't think the iPad or iPhone needs a case in particular. I do have a case on my iPhone, I'll admit, but I took the case off my iPad. I just don't carry it around with it because I don't typically carry it around in places where the case is going to matter all that much or where it
Yeah.
might get scratched up. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I
I
think I
don't
agree
even
with
have
you
a
on that.
cover actually for it, so I'm coverless as well on the iPad. So it's completely stock, completely bare.
So, in truth, even though it's an iPad Pro 12.9 inch, you are taking somewhat of a budget route with it. You're
Yeah, kind of. Yeah,
you're because by the time you buy all these accessories, gosh darn it, you might as well buy a MacBook Pro, you know. But if you're just getting the iPad Pro by itself, nothing else,
yeah,
and that
yeah.
will suit your needs, that's a great place to start. Okay, now
That's
here's the
it.
hypothetical. Earlier this week, you suggested that one topic we could talk about is Apple's upcoming alleged event. They haven't actually announced the event by the time at the time we're recording this, but Apple's
Yeah,
alleged upcoming iPhone event and what they might announce and what we may be able to purchase from Apple by the end of September. And I said, I don't really like to talk about rumors all that much. I did talk about rumors in the past, but I don't really like to talk about them. Plus, everybody else is talking
yeah,
about what Apple's going to announce. I want to talk about something different. But
yeah.
one of the rumors floating around out there, and I'm only bringing this up because it ties into your first pick. One of the rumors floating around out there is that we may see from Apple a new MacBook. If you remember the previous MacBook from, well,
Mm.
not the oldest model, but the one from 2015, the 12 inch, I actually purchased that. And it was a neat little device. It didn't
Oh,
get
yes.
support from Apple for a very long period of time, but it was a neat little device. It was good to take to meetings. It was that perfect iPad alternative when
Yeah,
you need a little bit more than what the iPad could offer you, and you needed the keyboard and something lightweight to bring from meeting to meeting. Now we're hearing there might be a 13-inch A18 based, I believe I heard,
oh, yes, yes.
MacBook
The much
running
rumored.
Mac OS in a super compact form factor for $599, and whatever that would translate
Allegedly.
to in British pounds. But allegedly $599, allegedly a nice range of colors, reportedly an A18, which sounds just as anemic as the 2015 MacBook. If I'm being honest, I would rather Apple maybe put an M1 or M2 or something in it. But the 18 is really powerful. I don't know. I'm a little concerned about it being the iPhone processor. But anyway, should that come out and you needed to replace your iPad Pro 12.9 inch, would you still
Yeah.
get the iPad Pro 12.9 inch or would you get the 13-inch MacBook? That's the
That is,
hypothetical.
yes, that is an extremely good question. I think for many people, um, a laptop is an exceptionally good device and would fit their fit what they do. For me, though, I really, really, really like an iPad to behave. I said really, 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 really three times. Here we go. I really, really, really like an iPad to behave like an iPad, a touch first device, you know.
Yeah.
Um, I like the fact that my desktop needs are on my desktop, funny
Mm-hmm.
enough, and my mobile needs are served by the iPad side without duplicating all of that and having a almost a desktop in laptop clothing, as it were. So my focus would be an iPad because it behaves like an iPad, and I like the my mobile side to be touch first and purely behaving like an iOS device, and specifically not a laptop because I have all of that covered on my desktop. So I think the two that I choose, a desktop and an iPad, complement each other, and I'd stick with the 12.9-inch iPad Pro as
Fair
my
enough.
choice.
Fair enough. And this is now all starting to explain your over enthusiastic response to iPad OS 26. That
Oh, absolutely.
clearly you're looking forward to the floating windows
Uh,
and the better
that's
window
it.
controls and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Whereas my lowly little iPad can't even run it. So I will never know. And why do I say I will never know? Stay tuned. Okay. So let's talk about my first choice. So
Cool.
you the first thing you would replace, should you need to replace your entire Apple ecosystem, is the iPad Pro 12.9 inch. In my case, it's my desktop Mac. That is really the center of my little, tech alcove
Empire.
here at home. My tech empire. Yeah, I need that Mac. I also need certain things like a fair amount of storage. As we talked about earlier, I don't like to keep all my stuff in the cloud. I like to keep the majority of everything I need on my local device. And I do keep that backed up as well. The interesting thing is, what would I pick? Up until the Mac Studio was introduced, I had an older Mac Pro. And the interesting thing about the Mac Pro is I originally got my 2006 Mac Pro because my employer purchased it for me. That was the
Uh,
best choice for my needs at my job at the time. And when that job came to a close, I inherited that Mac Pro, and that became my primary Mac here at the house because why wouldn't it? And then I
yeah.
replaced it with a used 2012 Mac Pro later on, which I got for a really good price. I didn't feel the need to go past that until the Mac Studio came out. The Mac Studio was an amazing replacement for the Mac Pro. It has the expansion capabilities that I'm looking for in a Mac, even a Mac that you can't open and add expansion to and all that kind of stuff. But from the pure standpoint of a desktop Mac, I mean, good gracious, it's got the front USB-C ports, it's got the SD card slot, it's got the Thunderbolt 5 ports on the back, which four of those, I believe. It's even got USB-A ports on it. It's got 10 gigabit Ethernet. It's got HDMI, headphone jack. I mean, it's got good expansion right
It's
out of
got
the box.
everything.
It's got everything.
Who needs to add anything?
And that was my point, is for the cost of getting a Mac Studio, I got not only a big memory upgrade, I got a decent storage upgrade because I do have a 2 terabyte SSD in it. And
Oh,
then I
that's
got
chunky.
I got the nice expansion capabilities of the Mac Studio. Um, and yes, I did take advantage of Apple's 0% financing for 12 months because that was the only way
Of
I could make that
course.
work. But it was a really, really nice replacement for the older, no longer upgradable Mac Pro that I had. And, best of all, it had the features I was looking for in a Mac. And this is, by the way, the M1 Macs. I have not felt the need to replace that with an M2 or even an M4. This M1 still, to this day, suits my needs, even when it comes to video editing and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, look, 32 gig of memory in the base model, awesome. I'll take it. But here's the deal. Now we've got the M4 Mac Mini, which is an
Yeah.
amazingly powerful computer. Now, granted, I wouldn't get the M4 Mac Mini. I would start with an M4 Pro, probably the 12 core CPU, 16 core GPU model of it. that comes with 24 gig of memory out of the box. And about the only thing I think I would feel I'd need to upgrade is that internal storage. Rather than 512 gig, I'd get 2 terabyte again, just like I have now. Well, that Mac Mini with an M4 Pro chip is $1,999. Not a bad price for the power that you get with that computer.
Yeah.
You do have more limited expansion, however. It only has 3 Thunderbolt 5 ports. It doesn't have any USB-A ports any longer. The M2 model did, but the M4 model does not. It's the smaller one. It's got HDMI. It's got 2 USB-C ports. Has a headphone jack. That's it, though. So I thought, okay, Mac Mini M4 Pro, $1999. And again, I'm looking at Apple's site fresh as someone that needs to replace what's currently on my desk because of that elephant. And if you're just tuning in now, go back to the beginning to understand what we're talking about. So I thought, all right, well, let's see what the Mac Studio is going for these days. And the Mac Studio with an M4 Max, 14-core CPU, 32-core GPU, 36 gigabytes of memory, and if I bump up the storage to 2 terabytes, that's going for $25.99, $600 more than the Mac Mini. Mac Mini is an amazingly powerful computer, but for, quote, only $600 more, I get not only more memory, I get not only a more powerful processor, I get more USB-C ports, I get the SD card slot, I get more Thunderbolt ports, I get USB-A ports, which, yes, I do use USB-A from time to time, and 10 gigabit Ethernet.
Well, that
seems like that's the place to start, right? I mean, that's what I
it's
have.
a good deal.
So it's a bit of a toss-up for me. Where do I start and how much do I actually need? I could argue that the M4 Pro would do the job. It's a very powerful processor. But do I want that more expansion? And I think I would lean towards the more expanded capabilities of the Mac Studio than the Mac Mini. So that is my pick for my first replacement. To start my Apple ecosystem from scratch would be to replace my Mac Studio with a Mac Studio, which, by the way, the current model is pretty much the same price I paid for mine. So you get a much more powerful computer for the same price. So that's where I would start. Now, accessory-wise, we're starting from scratch. I need a keyboard and mouse. I really do like Apple's full-size Magic Keyboard. I don't like the little mini one. I like the full-size one yet, with the number pad on the side. I also like the Logitech MX keys for Mac. The advantage to the Apple keyboard is Touch ID, as you were just indicating there. For folks who are listening to the audio, Darren was just showing his full-size Apple keyboard and was pointing to Touch ID. That's the big advantage that the Apple keyboard has over the Logitech MX keys. And there really isn't any way that I'm aware of for third parties to integrate Touch ID into their keyboards. This is something that Apple makes available in their keyboards, and I do not believe there's a way for anyone else to take advantage of that same technology within their third-party keyboards. So the Apple full-size Magic Keyboard would be my choice for keyboard. And mouse, gosh darn it, say what you will about any other mouse on the planet, I love my Apple Magic Mouse. You will have to pry it from my cold dead hands.
Fingers. There we go. Same here.
And no matter which model of Magic Mouse it is, I love it. And whenever I switch to a different mouse, the thing I miss the most is the side-to-side swiping on it.
I don't even mind the charging port being on the bottom. That's how much I like my Magic Mouse.
Ooh, stay tuned. Stay tuned until the end, Darren, for my quick tip this
Oh,
week. I have a quick tip
oh,
about that. So Apple Magic Keyboard full size and the Apple Magic Mouse. With that said, I do currently have a Logitech MX Keys for Mac. I do love that keyboard a lot. It's rechargeable. It's Bluetooth or the unifying receiver from Logitech. It's got a nice feel to the keyboard. It's nice and heavy, but and it's a fraction of the cost of the Apple keyboard. By the way, it's about half the cost. But it's lacking Touch ID. So when it comes to approving things on my Mac Studio, I have to rely upon my Apple Watch. So we'll get to that in just a moment. But accessory-wise, I need a full-size keyboard, I need a mouse, and then in terms of expansion, because I may want more than what I have, there are myriad devices you can get to expand the capabilities of any Mac that you might have, whether it's an iMac or a Mac Studio or a Mac Mini or what have you. A couple of the things I have been very happy with. I'm very happy with the OWC Mini Stack STX, which is what I currently have and would probably purchase again because inside, in addition to the Thunderbolt ports on the back of it, inside of it is a slot to stick a traditional hard drive or even a SATA SSD if you want to, as well as an M.2 SSD. So I have an 8 terabyte internal hard drive in there for larger stuff I don't need fast access to, and a 2 terabyte SSD installed into it as well, which is where I keep my photo library. So that Mini Stack STX stacks, hence the name, perfectly under the old style Mac Mini or the Mac Studio. It lines up exactly with the dimensions of it, which I love. It gives me that mythical mini Mac Pro tower that Eric and I talk so much about here on the show. Gives me more expansion, and it's a decent price. If I put in my own drives, it's less than $300 for the Mini Stack STX. Yeah. Put in my own drives, you're probably going to end up paying around, you could pay a lot, but you're probably going to end up paying around $500 once you put drives in it. But if you're looking at just pure expansion, the other device I like is from Ugreen. Ugreen has started. They're starting to make a lot more noise. They're putting out accessories and devices of similar quality to Anchor. And
I was going to say the new Anchor almost.
The new Anchor. No, they're not the new Anchor, but they're certainly putting out really good devices. And I recently purchased, for MacStock actually, I purchased their Thunderbolt 4 dock, which is the Ugreen Revo Dock Max 208. It's about $170. So for $170, that was the add-on for the MacStock Mac Mini for our recording deck. Great little device. So expansion is certainly optional. It's not needed if I'm starting from scratch. But if I'm starting from scratch, it's going to be that Mac Studio with the M4 Max, 2 terabyte of storage, full-size Magic Keyboard, and the Apple Magic Mouse. There's one more question, though. The display. Mac Studio and Mac Mini don't have a display, right? So what I currently have is a Dell U2515, which is 1560 by 1440. Looking to replace it, I'm pretty sure I would not go with an Apple display.
You've got to go 5K.
Well, it's interesting because instead I would probably look at a Dell 4K display, or if the budget allowed, I might lean towards one of the new Asus ProArt 5K displays, or even an LG 5K display. The LG displays are gorgeous, and the thing is, and I don't want to delve too deeply into the tech specs of displays because picking a display is a
Oh,
very,
that could be a whole show.
well, it can be a whole show, but it's also a very personal decision. And what,
Absolutely, yes.
what someone is willing to put up with versus what they're not willing to put up with. Compromises versus no compromises, right? But as an example, and this is a mouthful, the LG 27MD5KL-B,
Rolls off the tongue.
absolutely, just like the Asus ProArt. The LG 27MD5KL-B, it's a 5K display that offers Thunderbolt 3, 3 USB-C ports, speakers, and a webcam. I don't know how good of a webcam, but it does offer a webcam, and it regularly sells for about $1,000. The Asus ProArt, on the other hand, regularly sells for about $850 for a 5K display, and it doesn't have as much. It only includes HDMI, DisplayPort, USB-C, and speakers, but no webcam. It is difficult to find a third-party display with a webcam. It just is. There aren't very many out there, which is probably why I would lean toward a 4K display. More specs, less money. Because once you go beyond that LG display, which, like I said, goes for about $1,000, the others that are worth getting are in the same price range as Apple's display. So get the Studio display. If you're going to be in that price range, I think the best choice probably is the Apple Studio display. But if you're on a budget, as we kind of indicated here, we're replacing everything, so we are on a bit of a budget. Something like the Dell UltraSharp 4K Thunderbolt display, I think they call it a Thunderbolt hub, but Thunderbolt display, that regularly sells for around $500, and officially at Dell goes for about $710. So it's a fraction of the cost, about half the cost of an Apple display. Still, really nice sharp graphics, just not a 5K display. And no webcam too, by the way. So,
Yes.
if a webcam's important, there are other options there. But I think in terms of what my needs are, I would probably look at something around a 4K display to replace it.
I must admit, I must confess actually, I'm a little bit snobby where it comes to displays, and for me, 4K just can't cut the mustard. Just doesn't do it for me. The main reason is it's kind of the fault of the Mac in a way, or Mac OS, and how it behaves with lots of third-party displays. But it kind of sits in that strange resolution area where it's not quite high enough to be one for one perfection of a 6K display. 5K is good, but 6 is your spot on. Especially if you're a designer. If you're a designer, you want to see what you're looking at.
Yeah,
that's very different indeed. So it depends on your outlook and what you want to do with your Mac and your display. So if you're a designer, yes, I would spring the enormous amount of money for a 6K display. But there's this slightly difficult area display-wise, whereby the lower end 4K displays aren't quite big enough for the high res, and the bigger displays aren't quite are too big for the low res, and you can't fit in the middle. So
right.
You might end up having to spring for extra little software add-ons like Better Display Tool or something like that to match your resolutions better on a third-party display if you don't go for the 5K, which I think is the cutoff. I think so. I wouldn't go down to the display quality where you would need to tweak the display resolutions to get what to get what I would call an accurate display. So it's not color accuracy, it's resolution accuracy. It's like matching what the resolution capabilities of the Mac is. And most displays can't do it, which is why to me, there's only a handful. There's only a choice between like 3 or 4 displays in the world that you would buy that would match, the Mac's intended resolution.
Well, that's a really interesting way to put it. And I'm not pushing back on what you're saying because Apple has spoiled us for what kind of display
Indeed.
we should have on a computer.
Retina or nothing.
When it comes to the MacBooks and the MacBook Pros and the iMac, we have these amazingly gorgeous displays included at very little to no extra cost over the cost of the computer. And when you look at trying to get an equivalent display from anybody else to match your iMac's display, that's a difficult and expensive proposition. So
really
Apple
hard.
has spoiled us. But what I'm going to push back on a little bit is the Mac's intended display resolution. I think, and I'm probably projecting a little bit here, but I think you're approaching that from the standpoint of these gorgeous displays that come with Apple devices versus what a Mac is capable of. So for example, I said my Dell display that I have currently right now is 1560 by 1440. That's nowhere near a 4K display. It's at best, what, 2 or 2.5K display.
Yeah, 2K-ish. Yeah.
But it looks fine to me. I mean, I can fit everything I need to fit on that display. It's nice and sharp. There's no fuzziness to what I'm seeing. On the other hand, it is a good quality display. When you're talking about purchasing some $120, and I'm not picking on this company, but $120 ViewSonic or Asus versus a Dell Ultra Sharp, that's two different kettles of fish. And the display panels that Dell opts to put within their displays are very often LG panels, which is very often what Apple uses in their displays as well. So, not saying that they're one-to-one equivalent at all, but the better display that you purchase, or the most display you can afford for the money that you have available to you, the better off you will be. But the Mac can handle an HD display just fine. I have HD displays connected to a Mac as secondary or tertiary displays, and they do what they are intended to do, and the image is as sharp as an HD display can be, 1920 by 1080, right? I mean, that is the intended resolution of that display is the factory set by the panel resolution of the display panel is what you want to run that display at. If it's 1920 by 1080, you don't want to try to push it higher. You can't generally, and you don't want to run it lower. So as long as you're running at the resolution of that display or the resolution that it's intended to display at, not sure I'm explaining this well, you're going to get as crisp of an image as you can out of that panel.
Yeah.
So it's not the resolution the Mac is intended to run at, it's the resolution the display is intended to run at.
Yeah. Although the resolutions you're talking about are standard resolutions that do have a mathematical multiplier. So with a 1080 and a 1440p, you're good to go. The Mac doesn't have any scaling issues there. Whereas if you go higher than that and you go to a more abstract resolution, native resolution to the display, then your Mac won't have trouble as such, but it has to run it at quite a high res and then downscale. So the act of the downscale means that it's not mathematically divisible. and you end up with a potential fuzziness on. It sounds odd that when you've got a 1440p display, it's nice and crisp, which it is. But if you go higher and you have to correctly match the native resolution of the display, you have to do a bit of a downscale dance. You end up with some fuzziness going on there, and you
No,
can
that's
end
not.
up with a fuzzier display if it's higher res.
That's. I don't think that's true. If your Mac identifies the display, and so let's go back to the one I'm running over here. My Mac correctly identifies it as a Dell U2515, whatever it is,
Yeah,
H, I think, U2515H. It correctly identifies it, so it knows what resolution it should run at.
yeah.
And as long as I select the resolution, the native resolution of that display panel, I'm going to have a nice crisp display.
Yeah, that works perfectly at 1440p, but try it with some other display sizes
But even at
that
1080,
are
if
higher. Well, that's another one that works perfectly out of the box. 1080 and 1440, they work perfectly out of the box because they're mathematically divisible, whereas other display resolutions aren't necessarily. So you have to do some trickery on some other displays.
as long as the Mac knows what the native resolution of that display is, that's all it's going to try to do. It's not going to do any trickery. It's just going to display
Well,
at that native resolution.
well, not entirely. It's got to render itself higher and then downscale. So when you do a non-mathematically divisible downscale, you end up with some interesting potential fuzziness if you're being picky. And I admit that what I'm thinking of is ultra picky, I should imagine. So most people may not even notice any of this.
We may be talking about two different things.
We may be.
We'll leave it at that. We'll save this argument for the future, and I'll try to understand what your point is later.
Yeah, I'll have to push you some websites to have a look into that because it apparently it is a thing. So the choice of a third-party monitor is actually or can be, depending on your approach and what you need to use it for, can be a kind of a tricky choice.
But let's get to your pick for replacement desktop, if any. Would you replace your desktop Mac
Or if any.
in the event that you needed to replace your entire Apple ecosystem? Would you get a new desktop Mac?
Yes, the short answer is yes, I definitely would. I absolutely love Mac OS. It's just the best OS and the best environment for me. One of the big things is the UI or GUI, as it were, going on from the last show. The the what you can achieve in a macOS GUI that it's almost impossible to achieve on anything else. There are close options available, but they don't all sync together as nicely with using things like mission control, virtual desktops and spaces, and linking that to the advanced gesture controls you have on the Magic Mouse. So yes, a Mac is essential to me as well. Even though I do a lot of my stuff on an iPad, I absolutely definitely would replace my desktop if it was stomped by an elephant. So yeah, and the question comes, what would I replace it with? Would I go like for like? And I think again, almost possibly in a very boring way, I'd go like for like. So in the same way that I'd choose a 12.9-inch iPad to replace my 12.9-inch iPad, I would choose whatever the latest model M series iMac would be to replace my current M series iMac. So replacing like with like. But and one of the other reasons I specifically like the iMac is I don't have any of these choices and issues
Right.
to deal with. So I don't have to choose a monitor. And as you were saying earlier on, the monitor the iMac comes with is a 4.5K monitor. Um, is absolutely exceptional, and you wouldn't be able to find a decent third-party monitor of that caliber at that size, at least. Um, so it comes with that. So there's no issues there with having to choose a monitor. It has a built-in webcam, which I'm currently using now, so you can judge the quality.
Oh, it's very good.
Uh,
Yeah, the camera is very
yeah,
good on the
it's
iMac.
surprisingly good.
Yeah.
And I set up a new iMac for someone recently, and I could see that the quality of the camera was better than what I've got here actually. So it's even better. And I was playing with the desk view modes and so on that were built in options on the iMac camera, and that was extremely impressive as well to have them both going at once. And everything's built in, of course. It's just a tiny little black dot on the top of your display, and everything is built in. You've got no cables, nothing. You don't have a webcam dangling off the top of your display, ready to fall off at any moment. It just it's not a thing. I suppose I must confess I'm a little bit of a minimalist, so I do like everything being quite minimal, which is another reason for liking the iMac. And of course, it comes with a keyboard and mouse. So
A
I
little
don't
tiny
have to spring
keyboard,
out
but it comes with a
extra.
keyboard and mouse. Yeah,
It does. Although there is a build to order option
there is.
on the
Yeah.
iMac to pop in there and say, I'd prefer to have the big keyboard, please.
Yeah.
So they just bump the price up slightly. It's not too bad.
Yeah, it's like
I
50
think the
bucks. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, exactly. So then you can transmogrify your tiny keyboard experience into the big keyboard experience with
Yep.
with not with only a drop down menu choice. Um, and as a replacement machine, this is going to be quite fun because this is the first time where there would be an actual drop in price. Because if I did stick to the same configuration that I've got now, um, because the base level RAM is now 16 gig, I had to pay
Right.
extra for the 16 gig on my early M series iMac. So now that the RAM is um, by default 16 gig, I'd actually spend less money on replacing my Mac than it cost me in the first place. So not only would I get quite a nice speed bump because there's even if you go for the lower end option, um, I think I can't remember how many cores it is. I think it's
10?
10/10 cores,
Yeah, I
10
think so.
cores, yeah, so 10
Yeah.
core GPU. And my current machine has an 8 core GPU. So not
Hmm.
only do I get an upgrade there, I get an upgrade in the CPU side of things. And I've done some benchmarking on how much faster an M4 is to my current M1. And yeah, there's quite a nice speed bump there for no money at all. So
Yeah.
I'd not only get quite a significant hardware upgrade, but I'd spend less money replacing it than it cost me when I first bought it. So I'm a very big iMac fan. It makes life so much easier. You've got your display, your computer is. I mean, a lot of people that don't know the iMac or the modern iMac may be surprised where the actual computer is, because I do get people come and see the iMac and think, well, yeah, where's your computer?
Oh, I get that
Thinking
all the
it's on the
time.
floor or
Yeah.
something like that. But it's actually, so on the right-hand side and the left-hand side are speakers. So also that's another advantage. You get an incredibly good sounding set of speakers coming in, built into this incredibly slim display, and sandwiched in between these quite wide amount of speakers in there. The whole computer sits into less than the size of an iPhone. So it's no surprise that you can build an extremely high quality Mac experience just with an iPhone motherboard in a way, or even less than the size of that. So it's exceptionally impressive when I show someone the. I think there's some X-ray pictures you can find of an iMac, and it shows you where the computer actually resides.
It's
And you
mostly
have a look at
screen.
that.
Yeah.
It's mostly screen, yeah. And when you have a look to see where the actual computer is, you literally can't believe your eyes. It's that impressive.
And don't get me wrong, I'm a huge fan of the iMac. I love the iMac. In fact, if someone asks me which one to get, which Mac to start with, it's either the Mac Mini because they have a monitor and keyboard and mouse and all that stuff, or it's an
Yeah,
iMac. And more often than not, the
that's
iMac
it.
makes more sense because you get the keyboard and the mouse and the display and all the stuff that makes or that would be an extra expense over and above the cost of the Mac Mini. Huge fan of
Yeah.
it. And my desktop computer at the office is an M1 iMac. Uh, I love it. It would not fit on my desk here because of the hutch I have. So that's a consideration for me. My monitor currently can go up and down on its pedestal, so I can adjust it to fit on my desk. But I'd work around that. I'd make it
Yeah.
work if I wanted to go with the
Yeah,
iMac.
make it work.
I think in terms of our exercise here of replacing home, uh, my home devices, I've never had an iMac in the home. Um,
But
as
you've
I
got a laptop, so
well, I do, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But I think the one thing that is holding me back from making the iMac my primary Mac in the home environment is that it's limited to the M4. And if Apple could figure out how to get an M4 Pro into it, um,
I see.
I think that would be something that would be a tipping point for me to to go to the iMac versus my actual choice, which is the Mac Mini or the Mac Studio. Um, yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling it's cooling. They've made it so
Oh,
impossibly
absolutely. Yeah.
thin
Yeah.
that if they were to put an M4 Pro in it, they have to figure out how to cool that puppy.
It would
And
probably melt.
it certainly wouldn't melt, but it'd be throttling back so much that the performance gains would be
Yeah.
lost. So they would need to actually make it thicker. Uh,
Oh
and
no, no, don't want to do
and
that. Ruin it.
I mean, imagine let's remember the iMac Pro. Imagine a Pro
Yes.
version of the iMac that's a little bit thicker, comes with an SD card slot, comes with an M4 Pro. I think that would be a nice sweet spot for a lot of people. It certainly would be for me.
Yeah.
It would
Yeah.
be in a tricky spot in Apple's lineup between the
It
Mac
would
Mini
be.
and the Mac
Yeah. Yeah.
Studio. But that would be a great computer. And bump it to 27-inch again. Although the 24-inch display is nice, it was noticeably smaller when I replaced my 2012 27-inch
Yeah.
iMac with the 20, well, whatever it is, the M1, the 24-inch M1 iMac. It was noticeably smaller, even though it's running at the same resolution. So,
Yes.
yeah, that is the one thing I think where I would not make the iMac my primary Mac at home is that it's just the
Yeah.
M4. Although that
Yeah.
still is quite a powerful computer. In fact, my M1 iMac I have no interest in replacing. It ran circles around that Intel Core i5 27-inch iMac, and it continues to, and it serves
Yeah.
my needs. So, yeah, I think that's a great choice, and I agree with you that the gorgeous display, the keyboard, the mouse, the all-in-one nature of it, and I think you can even get large storage in it if you want to. I think you can go up to
Yeah.
two
Yeah.
terabytes
That's
or
that.
more.
Funny you should say that. That's the only other option I would look at if I was doing a replacement.
Yeah,
Um, so currently I have quite a modest setup, 16 gig RAM and 256, would you believe? Um, yeah, you do have to be. I am fairly frugal with data and storage, and since I use iCloud a lot, so I don't have this major storage issue. In fact, I have I'm using less than half the storage of what I've got actually. So I'm quite data
Wow.
frugal. So
Less
that's
than
pretty
half of
impressive.
256?
Less than half of 256, indeed. I'm running everything in around 128 for everything, all my apps, all my data, everything.
I've got the
So,
heebie-jeebies, my friend. How on earth? How on earth do
of
you get by
course,
with 256 gig of storage?
well, that's it. I mean, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty frugal. Like I say, when I said I was a bit minimalist,
Yeah.
going for the iMac in the first place, I'm also minimalist digitally too. So I'm a bit of a digital minimalist too. So I only have what I need, um, and only use. So I don't have everything stored there ready to go. If I click on it, it comes down from iCloud and I use it. And then when I start close it, it can be unloaded from cache. It's just a temporary cache item. So it's digital minimalism as well, would you
It
believe?
it's an interesting experiment for me to fire up a copy of Disk Inventory X or Grand Perspective and do
Yeah, that'd be scary, wouldn't it?
a little digital spelunking into the history of my drives because I tend to not start them fresh. I just move everything forward from Mac to Mac to Mac to Mac.
Yes.
And so there is stuff on there. I'm like, ooh, I remember that file, that 2 gigabyte
Yeah.
file from 5 years ago. I remember that. But where am I going to put it? So it stays right there. So anyway, um,
So,
cool.
so one of the things was thinking for as a replacement, although I would definitely still go with the almost the exact same. In fact, yeah, the exact same configuration iMac is that I would look at that. There's a couple of specifically styled to the iMac docks, as you were saying, similar to the dock that you place your Mac Mini on top of.
Right.
That is styled to the same size and dimensions of the foot of the iMac,
Yeah.
and it's
Those are cool.
quite thick. They're very cool, exactly. So you can put an M.2 drive in there, so I could add a nice 2 terabyte stick into that, and then just sit the Mac on top of this ultra slim dock. It would look like it's almost part of the device. So you wouldn't see much in the way of uh, any addition to the iMac wouldn't stick out like a sore thumb,
Right.
but you'd have that advantage of having a secondary drive for storage, and of course that would be absolutely required with the forays into gaming that the Mac is doing now. That's one of the downsides of being a bit of a minimalist on the storage side, is that I don't have enough space to download the latest game that's just come out for the Mac. I can't even download it. It's too big. It won't fit.
You absolutely cannot be a data minimalist and play the latest games. I will agree with you on that.
Exactly. The two are incompatible indeed. So that's my only addition. I would add a dock for external storage, and I'd pop that underneath my shiny new M5, potentially an M5 based iMac as a replacement.
Excellent choice. Excellent choice. Moving on, I think this next bit of our conversation is going to be controversial because only because I'm not a big fan of making a portable Mac my primary computing device. I do have portable Macs. I'm working on one as we speak. It's an M3 Pro, MacBook Pro. But the question that we're facing ourselves with is, in the event that we need to replace all the devices within our Apple ecosystem, what would we run out and replace effectively right away? I mean, what are we running out to replace as soon as we can? And what do we not need to replace? And so the question is, what about a portable Mac? Do you have a portable Mac? I don't think you do you?
No, exactly. All my mobile side of things that I do is handled by the iPad Pro, and all of my desktops OS type stuff. Well, it's strange that they call it a desktop OS when it's also on a laptop, but
You know
so
what
that
they
is.
mean.
I know what they mean, but some other people may not know. They may be confused, like, why is my laptop got a desktop OS? It's like, we know what they mean, but some people might think, oh,
Fair
that's
enough.
kind of strange.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't know. I don't have a need for an actual Mac laptop because all of my Mac OS stuff is handled on the desktop side, and all of my mobile stuff is handled on the iPad Pro, which is iOS. So I don't feel the need to have a laptop.
Yeah.
In your situation, I'm quite intrigued because you seem to have a very nice laptop there, and it's almost doubling up that same spec and quality with a desktop studio. So why not entertain the thought of going higher on the laptop, say a big old Mac's laptop, and then dock it into desktop mode when you want to do desktop things, and just have a single Mac to rule them all, as it were.
Well, that's a good question. The reason I have a portable Mac is for work purposes. In the situation that we're talking about right now, replacing our home Apple ecosystem, the
Uh,
portable Mac doesn't really have a place within my home ecosystem. I just don't need it.
right.
Absolutely superfluous. But once I fold the concept of work into the equation, the ability to have a Mac that I can carry with me not only to clients, to meetings, to and from the office, and yes, to do things like live stream for Mac Eyes Only because it has this really, really nice camera on it, and my desktop Mac has no camera on it. That makes it a worthwhile purchase for me.
Right.
Likewise, MacStock, the conference every summer, I need a good portable Mac for that, and that was where the M3 Pro came into play. Is I had the 2018 MacBook Pro, again purchased primarily for going back and forth to clients, but also for MacStock, and then when that became too old to be a good daily driver in terms of portability, I got the M3 Pro as a replacement for it. And most of these, I'll be honest, most of these I purchased either from Apple certified refurbished or,
Well, yes, that's a good,
educational
yeah.
discounts or, things like that to not be paying full price for them. But quite frankly, I am not a big fan of overpaying for over engineering. And if I don't need portability, and that's always one of the first questions I ask my clients is when they're looking at a new computer, do you need
Yeah.
a computer that's portable? Do you need, and to rephrase it a different way, do you need portability? How important is it for you to have that computer on your desk where you do the majority of your work and then bring it elsewhere within the home or off-site? And very often the answer is it's not important. They would just they have in their mind that they want a laptop. And so I ask about portability. And then when we find out that portability isn't important,
And they never want to move it. Yeah.
they never want to move it, and it's just going to sit there on their desk and not go anywhere. Why are you paying for that over engineering? Why are
Why
you
buy a
paying?
laptop?
Yeah, why buy a laptop? They cost more money because it costs more on the back end to develop something this thin and light and powerful. And it doesn't cost so
Yeah.
much to put that same kind of power into a desktop computer. So uh, that's kind of my take on that. Is
Cool.
I I don't want to overpay for something that's just going to primarily be a desktop computer, and that is what
Yeah.
I need here at home. Very very seldom does the MacBook Pro come out of its backpack for use at home. It does come out for meetings. It does come out at the office. It does come out when I'm on the road. But how important is that portability just replacing my home ecosystem and taking the work ecosystem out of the equation? It's not important. So in my situation, you don't have a portable Mac. I don't need a portable Mac.
Cool.
So I probably would not replace it. but I went ahead and played the game anyway. What if I were to replace it? What if I
What would you
did want to replace it? What would I get? And I will tell you, the MacBook Air is a very, very compelling choice.
Yes.
The M4 chip, 16 gig of memory, 512 gig of storage, the gorgeous 13-inch Retina display. I used to be a huge fan of the larger display portable Macs. I used to have a 17-inch MacBook Pro.
Wow.
Then I went to the 15.6 inch. Then I went to the 13-inch, and 14-inch, which is what this one is. I don't ever want to go back to a 15-inch display again. No, it's too big. I don't. They always joke that the 17-inch was a lunch tray, and it is. Actually, here it is. Here it is.
Wow, you got it. You
Here's
got
my
it.
lunch tray. Look at that. You can't
Wow.
even see me. It is so big. You can't even see me. Yeah, this is my old 17-inch. Look at my Lego guy. This is my
That's amazing. I like that.
yeah. And then next to it is the 15-inch. But so it's so incredibly large and heavy. And the 15-inch
yes.
really wasn't much lighter. The 13-inch was amazingly light. The 14-inch is a little heavier, but that's the size I go at. Now, I do push the display. I don't run it at the resolution that Apple suggests. I actually go into the display settings and I change the resolution on this display. I generally click, what do they call it, more space.
Okay.
And that bumps the resolution to 1800 by 1200 or something like that. It's somewhere in that range. The default resolution is 1500 by 900, somewhere in that range. Like, no. I can't fit everything that I need on that low of a resolution.
Bit more real estate.
Yeah, I need more real estate. So I always go into my display settings and click more space. And then the other thing I do is on the newer MacBook Pros is I adjust the display resolution so that it eliminates the notch. So that entire
Controversial.
that entire top bar with the notch is black on my Mac because I set my resolution to be.
Dear.
I actually set it to, here, I'll look it up. 1800 by 1169. And
Yes.
that is an official resolution. It's just as sharp as if I didn't do that. The difference is it's like 50 pixels shorter in height. And that 50 pixels or so eliminates the notch at the top. So I don't have to deal with that stupid notch. I've got all kinds of space for all my menu bar icons.
Oh, dear.
Nothing gets hidden. I love it. So that's what I set it to. So anyway, back 13-inch display. So MacBook Air, 13-inch display, 16 gig of memory, 512 gig SSD. The big issue is 2 Thunderbolt ports. That's the big issue with the MacBook Air. If you can get by with only 2 Thunderbolt ports, cool. The MacBook Pro, on the other hand, is not the M4, it's the M4 Pro. Or there is an M4 model. But if you're going to get the M4 model MacBook Pro, just get the MacBook Air. Just don't even bother with the M4 MacBook Pro, in my opinion. Start with the M4 Pro MacBook Pro. That comes with 24 gig of memory. So instead of 16, it's 24 gig.
Yes.
512 gig storage. No upgrades at all. Just out of the box. I think that's a really, really good
Good
set
value.
of specs, good value. And I did get one with an upgraded storage. So this is 1 terabyte of storage on here instead of the 512. But 512 is good. I mean, I'd be fine with that.
It's double what I've got.
And the big difference is the 3 Thunderbolt 5 ports, the HDMI port, the SD card slot,
handy.
and let's see, MagSafe. Does the MacBook Air, that has MagSafe, doesn't it? Yeah, that has
Yes,
MagSafe.
it does.
MacBook
Yes,
Air
it
has
does.
MagSafe.
Yeah.
So MagSafe is great. They both have backlit keyboards. So yeah, the big difference is expansion
Yeah.
and the more powerful
Connectivity.
processor. Yeah. So, but otherwise, the MacBook Air is great. And I think if I were to just get a, what did you call it earlier, slumming around? If I were just gonna
If
get,
you were slumming it.
if I were slumming it, no, I'm kidding. This is not slumming it at all. I think the MacBook Air
Absolutely
13
not.
inch is a fantastic,
Oh,
fantastic portable
yeah.
Mac. And
I
I,
was setting one up for a customer the other day, and absolutely enthralled by this fabulous new M4 MacBook that he's
yeah,
MacBook Air, I should say. Absolutely stunning bit of kit in every
absolutely.
way.
Yep, I love it. And I have had a number of clients that use MacBook Pros before. In every case, I recommend they get the MacBook Air, and they're thrilled with it because most people, not all, most people don't care about the extra Thunderbolt port. Most
No,
people don't care about the SD
don't
card
need it.
slot. They don't care about HDMI out. Maybe a business professional might want HDMI out for connecting to a projector or something. But yeah, it's just fantastic. Now that's $11.99. So the difference in between the MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro is much more pronounced. The
Yeah,
the intro MacBook Air with 16 gig and 512 of storage is $11.99. The MacBook Pro with 24 gig and 512 is $19.99. Huge
yeah,
difference in price. $800 is a lot of money to pay for an extra Thunderbolt
yeah.
port, SD card slot, and HDMI,
That's it.
which,
You can buy an iPad for that.
well, not only can you buy an iPad for that, but you can also get a little anchor dock to hang off the side of your MacBook
Yeah,
Air
yeah,
and give you all of that you are otherwise paying $800 for. So, I mean, now that Apple has removed the external display limitations of the MacBook Air, you can connect two displays to a MacBook Air,
yeah.
and you
Absolutely.
can
It's
connect two
almost the perfect
displays.
computer.
Yep,
Yeah,
the M4 Pro, you can connect two displays.
yeah,
The M4 Max, you can do four displays, I think, but the M4 Pro, it's two displays. So there isn't even a display advantage like there used to be. That was one of the big arguments to go for a MacBook Pro before was the number of displays you could connect to it externally.
yeah.
You know, darn it, I say get the MacBook Air. That would be my choice.
So do I. So do
11.99.
I.
You pick the color, 16 gig of memory, more than enough, 512 gig of storage. You're good to go if you need portable. If I'm replacing my Apple ecosystem and I'm only concerned about the home environment, I wouldn't get portable at all. I wouldn't get portable at all. And that's why the Mac Studio or the beefed up Mac Mini are a much better choice for me than the iMac because they're doing
Yeah,
the
yeah.
extra lifting that many people use a secondary device for. So that's it.
Perfect.
All right. So that is the controversial part of the discussion out of the way. Because there are a lot of folks who absolutely love the MacBook, whether it's the Pro or the Air or what have you, as their primary computing device. And I will not discount that
Yeah,
at all. But in my particular situation, I don't need that portability at home. I feel like I'm getting more for my money with a desktop Mac. So, boom. iPhone.
boom.
Let's move on to the iPhone.
Aha.
I think this is going to be relatively quick. I currently have an iPhone 13. I'm happy with it. I don't feel like I need to replace it, but it's gone now. In our situation, it's gone. I need to replace it. I don't know what model you have.
I have an iPhone 12 Pro,
So
so
one
even
step
older.
up from mine, really. Even though it's the 12
Hmm.
versus the 13, it's the Pro versus the
Yeah.
standard. And so I would even argue that's one step up from mine.
Okay.
The mistake I made when I bought the iPhone 13 was thinking that 128 gig of storage was going to be enough. My my iPhone 8 Plus I had to think back what it was called. The 8 Plus had 256 gig of storage. I never used all of it, but I certainly went past, got close to 128. But I thought, 128 will be fine. And that was my mistake. I'm regularly pushing that storage limitation. But if you were to replace your 12 Pro, what would you get?
Funny you should say that because I'm in the market for a new iPhone now because it's 5 years now. It's due for upgrade. My upgrade cycle is usually around the 3-year mark.
Yeah,
I usually find that being the sweet spot because if you buy out generally the way I handle it and the way things tend to run in the UK as well, we do have carrier options for paying monthly for a
sure.
new phone as you
Yeah,
guys do. But I think that's more popular in the States than it is over here. And a fair few people, myself included, would buy the phone outright and just have a data, not data only, uh, a SIM only deal
hmm,
monthly. So my monthly cost for my mobile roaming around, even if I choose to actually speak to someone on the device, which is very rare. I usually use it as an iPhone to me is more like my pocket computer. It's almost a little bit bizarre that it has this app on it with a green phone symbol there that I can actually speak to people on. It's a bit strange when someone calls me, I find, but that's just me being weird. uh, I have a SIM only deal. So my monthly cost for all of my mobile situation with the phone, because I bought it outright and it lasts me quite a few years,
hmm.
um, is minuscule compared to probably what you would pay in the States, especially if you were doing a carrier subsidized phone.
Yeah,
People don't seem to realize also that with that situation,
you pay more.
in a way, you're actually yes, you may in a way you are just renting the phone. You don't actually own. It feels like you own it, but you don't.
Right, right.
Whereas my approach is to buy it outright, have it for quite a long time, and then just pay SIM only. So my monthly cost, believe it or not, is £6.50 a month.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Um, so that's all I have to pay for my mobile situation. It's also flexible, so that if anything untoward were to happen, um, then I don't have this expensive contract that I'm compelled to carry on paying, that sort of thing, and I end up with no device, but still having to pay a contract and someone trying to send me out a new device if they would do that, and so a lot of the time they wouldn't. So it gets quite tricky.
So, actually, our situations are very, very similar. But when you say
Okay.
SIM only, is that
Yes.
does that provide you a mobile number, unlimited minutes, and
Yes.
data?
Yes. Unlimited minutes and texts and so on. Nobody's charging for texts anymore. It used to be a thing, but
Right. Oh,
not
yeah.
anymore,
Yeah.
luckily. Uh,
What about data?
but it's not. Well, that's it. That's the big one, isn't it? Data. This SIM only deal I pay for only gives me a smaller amount of data, although. I'm almost always within range of a Wi-Fi either at home or at work.
Hmm.
So the amount of mobile data I need to use is very minimal. Um, and I tend to do things like I'll listen to a podcast, but that's already been synced on when it's been attached to Wi-Fi, so it doesn't need to stream or download anything. So when I'm out and about, I use not much in the way of data. Quite frugal, you would say.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I recognize everything you are saying and agree with it all. Um, but did we say which model phone you would get?
No, that's it. I was going to come to that one. So yes, I'm in the market for an upgrade this year, and I'm in two minds. I do like photography. I do like my photography. So that's one of the big angles that would sway me to still go for another Pro. Although I realize I've used that zoom lens on my Pro less than I thought I would.
Yeah.
So I'm actually considering almost in a way, for me, it would be a little bit of a downgrade in a way from because I've always had Pros. I've always been a Pro phone person. So, but this time I am thinking, shall I slum it? um, so, the only thing that's there is one thing that's tempting me, which is the rumored, or because we haven't seen it yet, of course, but the highly potentially leaked as well information about the new iPhone 17 Slim. So there are a couple of three downsides to that model, but it may still be the one that tips me, the one that piques my interest potentially. So I'm reserving judgment on it, but that one is looking quite good for me. The the thing that you would think would be a downside for me being into photography, being limited to one camera instead of three, I don't think is going to be a major issue for me, because the quality, of course, has improved resolution-wise and in other ways over and above what I currently have anyway. So in a way, the quality of that single lens on a 17 Slim would be similar in a way to like say a 2x optical of my current iPhone Pro. Well, my iPhone Pro has a 3x optical, so it's not entirely the same, but it's close enough potentially. So there's that. But the only other downside of the 17 Slim that I can see that would be a potentially bigger problem is the fact that it's incredibly slim. So the battery has to be slim. Oh, I don't think there's going to be too much of a problem with the bend gate side of things, because I do take exceptionally good care of my kit, so there's no danger of bending, but not for me anyway.
I regularly sit on my phone. Yeah, I've
oh
never
no,
bent
no,
it,
I
but
couldn't even think about such a thing. No,
it goes in
you
my
definitely
back
don't put
pocket.
your phone in your back pocket. No, no, no,
It
no. It's
goes in
not a
my
place
back
to put the
pocket,
phone.
and I will regularly sit on it, and it's fine.
Oh,
It's fine.
wow. I absolutely never put my phone in my back pocket. It's never a thing that to happen. So
Well, I don't like it in my front pocket, for one. I mean, if I'm wearing my dad shorts, cargo shorts, I'll put it in the pocket on the shorts. But no, I don't like the phone in my front pocket. I don't.
yeah, I
Yeah,
usually have it a shirt pocket or something like that. So and it's usually looked after nicely. No, but the only other downside would be the battery being slim, because then it wouldn't last as long. Although there are potential things that Apple might be tweaking to make the power last a lot longer on such a device,
yeah,
which I'm
we've heard
sure we'll
that.
be seeing
Yeah.
soon. Yeah, absolutely. Um, but I don't think that would also be a terrible thing for me, because I'm pretty good with my energy usage as well. Would you believe, being a bit on the minimalist side? So I tend to um, uh, I, I think people would think it's quite shocking. One of the things I would do, which is and I have done in the past, and you really only have to do it once. So once you go through every single, and I mean every single setting in iOS in the settings app, you go through every single one, and you turn off what you don't use and don't need. There's things like tracking your location to decide which ads would be best to target to you. I don't want that at all. So that's just, you turn that off.
That
Every
assumes.
little
Wait a
thing you
minute.
turn
Wait a minute.
off.
That assumes you are using software that's ridden or laden full of ads. I
Well,
if
it's the thing. There is a setting which is location-based ad setting. So if you turn that off, it never records the location for gathering data to send you an ad.
But you shouldn't be using apps that have ads in them anyway. Buy the apps.
Well, yes,
Or limit apps
but
or limit
that's
your
just,
app usage so you're not looking at
yeah.
ads all day long.
It, it's kind of just an example. So
No,
so
I know.
although each little uh, although each little thing would probably only save a minuscule amount of watts, when you add them all together, and I've like tweaked about 40 or 50 settings in there to turn off what I don't use, um, then power saving wise, I can actually get more power than a lot of people um, would with the equivalent device. So I was telling someone the other day that when I first got my iPhone 12 Pro, I mean the battery was very, very new. So this was 5 years ago. Um, so it's degraded a little bit now, although not massively. Um, but they were saying it's impossible to run their phone for more than a day. And my record at that time, when I had the phone for new, with all my tweaked settings, was 4 days. I can run my phone, or was able to run my phone when it was new, for 4 days between recharges.
Yeah.
So with all those little tweaks, they did mount up and meant that I didn't have to do too much in the way of battery uh, recharging all the time. So I don't think having an ultra slim battery is going to be too bad. I don't mind the fact that I might have to recharge it a little bit more often than my current phone because, yeah, like I said, my data, my battery usage is also fairly minimal. So I might be on the market for an iPhone 17 Slim if everything
Allegedly.
pans out. Allegedly, yes,
Allegedly.
indeed.
But
Or it'll be a Pro.
if you were to replace it with what's available right now, what would you get?
Right now. Well, because the iPhone 17 doesn't exist now,
Because the elephant
I
came in and smashed everything just last night. So
absolutely,
you need a
yeah.
phone. So what are you going to
Or
replace it
do
with?
I?
Or do you?
Well, that's
Yep,
it.
that's a good
Or do
question.
I?
Do you?
Indeed.
Do you need a phone?
Uh, I think I could do without one for a while. So only in the current situation, so that assuming the elephant came in like this week, and the announcement of new devices was in a month's time, I'd wait. I'd always wait until after an announcement before I chose to buy
Yeah.
anything. So that's always a good idea, I think. So I wouldn't go out and buy a current model if there was the chance of a new model coming out real soon now. So I would always defer. So to answer your question, what would you buy now? The answer would be nothing.
All right. All right. I get it. I get it. Okay. So, like you, I buy my phones outright. I don't ever get them through the carrier. Nothing is ever free. You're going to pay for that phone no matter what they tell
One
you.
way or another.
One
Yeah.
way or the other, you're paying for that phone. So I always buy mine outright, which is my biggest bone of contention with Apple is that when you buy the phone outright, they always charge you more because, and that tells you that they're getting a little something something on the back end from T-Mobile and Verizon and AT&T if they can afford to have you sign up for a plan with them, or it costs more to buy the phone without a plan. But that aside, if what I want is available through certified refurbished, I'll get it there. There you can buy it outright with no price penalty. But if you're going to buy it direct from Apple, there is a price penalty for buying it outright. But I pay it because ultimately I know it's going to be cheaper because I, like you, keep my phones for longer periods of time. As I said, I have an iPhone 13 right now. Now, who would have thought, I thought the controversial thing was going to be about using a portable Mac as your primary computing device. But what I'm about to say is surely going to be controversial because, like you, I'm a fan of photography, which is why I don't care about the camera on the iPhone. So
Oh,
that's why an iPhone 13 is fine for me. when I do take a picture with it, the picture that it gives me is good enough for that intended purpose. If I want to take a nice picture, a detailed picture, I will use a different device. But anyway, if I were to replace my phone right now, I already mentioned that I underbought when I bought this one with 128 gig of storage. So no matter what I get, I know I'm going to get at least 256 gig of storage. And quite frankly, from what's available right now, I think I would get either an iPhone 16, 6.1 inch, or possibly even an iPhone 15, 6.1 inch. Either with 256 gig of storage, and that would be a perfect replacement for my current iPhone 13. I don't feel compelled to get the Pro. I don't like all the extra stuff on the back of it. I like a little bit simpler design. I'm really not a fan of what I'm seeing on the new designs coming out. Yeah, that's a lot of stuff. I don't need all that stuff. Actually, to be fair, mine has just as much. I got the two lenses on mine, but yeah, and the case makes up for it anyway. One of the reasons I like the 13, the 15, the 16 is because there are nicer colors to choose from. I find the Pro line of colors just a little on the boring side of things. So I like a little bit brighter. I like a little pop of color in my pocket. So I would go with a 15 or 16. And the 16 colors are nicer than the 15s that are a bit muted. So my answer is an iPhone 16 with 256 gig of storage. And that would be the replacement for my iPhone 13. Moving on. You don't have an Apple Watch, do you?
Not yet.
Not yet. Not yet. I do. I had the Apple Watch 3, and then thanks to the kindness of a dear friend, I upgraded to an Apple Watch 6, and that is what I currently have. In the event that I lost the Apple Watch 6 in this alleged incident with the elephant, I would absolutely replace it. It has become an integral part of my daily computing life. I like having it there. I like getting notifications on it. I would like to see some tweaks to how notifications come in on the watch, but on the whole, I like having it there. I like the immediacy of being able to check the temperature or what the upcoming weather conditions are going to be. I like the fitness aspects of it, even though I don't necessarily take advantage of them to the extent that I should. I do not install many apps on it. Most of the apps that are on my phone, I deliberately do not install onto the watch. So in the case of my watch, I am, like you, a minimalist. I don't put a whole lot on it. I keep the Apple apps, but not much else.
Yeah.
In fact, I remove a number of the Apple apps from it. So it's a very pared down Apple Watch experience for me. But what I do use it for is, or has become, somewhat invaluable to me. So there aren't a whole lot of tech specs to delve into with the watch. I don't feel I need the Watch Ultra. I could probably get by with getting an older Apple Watch, but I will say the Apple Watch 10 is a really nice replacement for what I have. So I would get the Series 10, 46 millimeter aluminum case, jet black, and a Nike Sport Band, only because I really like the look of the Nike Sport Band. So $429, often on sale on Amazon and other online retailers. Yeah, that's it. That's my replacement. I wouldn't look at the Watch Ultra. I wouldn't look at an older model. I'd just flat out get the Series 10 46 millimeter and be done with it.
Yeah. I'm in the market for the same thing actually, so I would do that. Although in this case I wouldn't be replacing anything because I don't have an Apple Watch at the moment.
Yeah.
But I don't have one indeed. But I do plan to, and in a very similar way to yourself, I would pretty much just be using the stock apps that are on the watch, and my primary use for it would be for it to do all the lovely health data gathering and putting all that lovely data into the health app, and use it as a device to track one's health and make sure you're in good health.
Yeah. 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 I, I do like many of the health features. I like the fact that it isn't an issue for me necessarily, but I like the fall detection. I like the emergency SOS services. I like the AFib indicators on it.
Yeah.
My model actually has the blood oxygen sensor, and even though Apple brought it back kind of a week or so ago,
Nearly.
it's not really quite the same as what is on the Series 6 watch that I have on my wrist right now. You have to
Yes.
run it and then go to your phone to get the results, which
Yeah.
is
Which is
weird.
fine for me.
Yeah, it's a workaround,
Yeah, it does feel
but
weird, doesn't it? But
it's
yeah, it
weird.
works.
But so that would be an argument for getting an older model, something older than
Yeah.
the Series 9. You would actually have the blood oxygen meter on it, or at least I do on mine. And I never lost it. But yeah, pretty simple. If you have one, the Series 10 is a great replacement.
Yeah.
The only options in terms of replacing it are what type of case would you get, what type of band would you get. But this is all customization that you can do later. You don't have to do it at the time of
That's
purchase.
it.
So
Yeah.
yeah, great option there. So there's only two more devices that this article mentioned. One is the iPad, which we already talked about a little bit, but I'm going to give my thoughts on it, which is going to be very, very quick,
Cool.
quicker than you
Fabulous.
might even imagine. And
Wow.
then also the AirPods, interestingly, were the other option that he mentioned as part of his Apple ecosystem that he would replace. We know you're going to get an iPad Pro 12.9 inch because that has become your primary computing device. I have an iPad Pro, but it's a 10.5 inch that I purchased, 2018, something like that. And this fall will be the first iPad OS upgrade for it that it cannot run. And I'm
Time
not,
to upgrade.
no, I'm not concerned about that at all. Because in the event that Mr. and or Ms. Elephant destroy my Apple ecosystem, I am not going to replace the iPad. It is not an important part of my computing life. I might have it sitting next to my Mac and I play a YouTube video or a soccer game or something on it while I'm working on the Mac. I might have it. Actually, it hasn't been upstairs in ages. It's been on a little stand next to my Mac Studio for weeks. And the most interaction it gets from me is plugging in the cable to charge it from time to time. It's just not important to me. I did get the very first iPad. I used it very little, which I'm embarrassed to say because it was a gift for me. And I so very much appreciated the gift, but I just didn't end up using it for anything more than very, very casual stuff, games, primarily. And then, as Apple upgraded them, some of the apps that I actually came to like wouldn't run on the newer iPads. So the old iPad is actually still around because there are one or two things on it where I just thought it was cool and it would be nice to kind of go back from time to time and do those things on it. But I just do not have a place in my ecosystem for the iPad. That said, other family members here in the Potter household do have a place in their life for the iPad. And for
Perfect.
them, the 11-inch iPad, $349, is the perfect iPad replacement. And
Fabulous.
we literally just purchased one as a replacement for someone within this household on sale for $299 on Amazon. Boom, done. No brainer. It even works with the Apple Pencil. So from that perspective, I think for someone who just wants a super, super casual computing device, it's not going to be used like you use yours. It's going to be used strictly as a lean back kind of media consumption type device. I think the 11-inch iPad is perfect.
Yeah.
And you can get more storage on it if you want, but out of the box it comes with 128 gig of storage. So
Yeah.
heck, mine has 64, and I've still got more storage space on it. But yeah, so the iPad, nope, not going to replace it. Let's go with his last pick, which is the AirPods. Do you have AirPods? Do you use AirPods?
I don't, but there is one other thing that is a must-have for me in the whole ecosystem, which I can't remember if the article mentioned, but that's an Apple TV. So that might be
Yeah,
that's a
no,
separate
it
thing.
didn't mention that, and that's a good pick. I mean, that would certainly be something that if you have an Apple TV connected to your television and you regularly stream content through it, that yeah, you have to replace that. Absolutely. And I don't know that there's a whole lot of discussion that needs to be had over the Apple TV. You either use it or you don't use it, and
Probably not. Yeah, just buy another one.
you just buy another one. I do not remember that being in the article, but that's a really, really good point. Since you don't have AirPods, I actually purchased the first edition of AirPods Pro when they were on sale a number of years ago. And honestly, I was nothing but disappointed with them. They
Oh,
work okay. They did what they're supposed to do, but in my case, they always did it on a very limited basis. In other words, I'd be on a phone call with someone, and about 45 minutes into the phone call, they'd just go and they'd break up, and I'd lose the call.
oh dear.
And that happens to me more than I could share in this conversation. They were very, very disappointing devices to me. They didn't have great sound, if I'm being honest. It was very hollow and echoey. And for the other folks that had issues with their AirPods Pro that were repaired under warranty by Apple, mine didn't fall within that repair program. So mine just were what they were, and they're okay for very limited short bursts of usage. But they never became essential to me because I was frustrated with how they worked. So I consider the AirPods, and in my case AirPods Pro, which is what I have experience with, a nice to have but not a must have.
Fair
Now,
enough.
I'm going to qualify everything I just said with what I'm going to say next, because the AirPods Pro 2 are regularly $249, and they have been on and off sale for $169 for ages. I was convinced that they were going to be replaced with an AirPods Pro 3, but now we're kind of hearing that the AirPods Pro 2 are going to be it for yet at least another year. That we're not going to necessarily see AirPods Pro 3s come out of Apple. That they're adding things like live translation to the AirPods Pro 2. Well, you wouldn't add live translation to the AirPods Pro 2 if you were going to have AirPods Pro 3s coming out that you could add that to and say, well, too bad, so sad, AirPods Pro 2 users. If you want this, you got to buy the 3s. So the speculation, and again, rumors are not something I like to talk about too much, but the speculation is that the AirPods Pro 2s are going to be what we have at our disposal for at least another year. So with that said, they went on sale for $169 again last week, and I bought them because everything, I haven't received them yet. They're on back order because of the great price. But everything I've been reading about them is that they have solved every problem that people had with the AirPods Pro. I will be the judge of that. But since I didn't
You can let us know.
I didn't pay full price for the AirPods Pro, I think I paid like $130 for them. They were a really, really good sellout price when I bought them. And I certainly did not pay full price for the AirPods Pro 2. Considering I haven't been especially happy with the AirPods Pro, I guess it's kind of a surprise that I purchased the twos, but they have so many more features than the AirPods Pro had, including the hearing aid feature, um,
Yes.
the improved processing power of the H2 chip, the USB-C charging, the MagSafe charging, not MagSafe charging, but the magnetic. What does Apple call it?
Yeah.
It is MagSafe,
I
right?
can't remember
The
actually.
MagSafe charging.
But yeah.
It has that in the case. Um, and the new live translation feature really intrigues me. So for $169, I thought I'd give them a try again. And what I'm deliberately going to do is leave the AirPods Pros here for use with my desktop Mac when or if I need them. And the
Cool.
AirPods Pro 2s are going to be the ones I carry with me. And I'm going to give them a try again. I'm going to use them again for phone calls with clients. I'm going to use them again for listening to
Yeah.
longer form audio. I'm gonna do everything with them that I tried to do with the AirPods Pros and see how they work. And
Cool.
trust me, I will let folks know if they don't work well. And
I bet.
um,
Are you
but
going to use them on the show?
no. For
Okay.
recording, no. I will. You should never use Bluetooth headphones for recording. I know you are. I know a lot of people do, but they can introduce problems in the live streaming process. So I use a
I see.
wired set of headphones or
Oh,
earbuds. Yeah.
yeah.
But anyway, I'm going to give them a try and see. Are they essential? Do I feel like I have to replace my AirPods Pros when the elephant sits on them? No. And I probably would not deliberately do so, but I did. So, all that said, I don't know if you have totaled this up. I have totaled this up.
Oh,
What
I haven't added it up.
what
No.
is my total to rebuild my Apple ecosystem from scratch? Well, if I go with the Mac Studio, the a 4K display that I talked about, we talked about more than we should have, the Apple keyboard and mouse, and then leave out the optional things like the expansion hubs and the MacBook.
Yeah.
Add the iPhone, the Apple Watch, and then leave out the optional iPads and AirPods Pro. My total without the optional equipment is $4,735.
Wow. Actually, that's less than I was expecting. That's impressive. That's for a whole Apple ecosystem, everything.
Whole Apple ecosystem. It did not include your Apple TV, which you mentioned, which
Oh, they're
assuming I
not
were to
expensive.
replace that, that's what, $130, something like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
That's
we're
chicken feed.
still at around $4,900 for everything that we're talking about,
Yeah.
for what I feel I need to replace to replace my entire Apple ecosystem. That's not bad. Plus, if you get 3% back
Yeah.
from Apple, hey, even better. You don't get that though. You don't get that.
No,
Um,
we don't get those such things in this country.
but
No, it's shocking.
yeah, we would. Let's see, what does that work out to be? 4735 times 0.03. So $142 back, right? That
Well, that'll pay for an Apple TV. There you go.
that pays for my Apple TV. Or actually, I often look at it as paying for my Apple Care. And Apple Care, by the way, has
Oh,
not been
Apple Care.
factored
Oh,
into this
yes.
equation.
No, we didn't think about that.
But that is another excuse to go with desktop Macs versus portable Macs because Apple Care is a fraction of the cost of what it is for a portable Mac.
Yes.
I know they have the new subscription Apple Care where you can do 3 devices for a monthly cost, but I'm assuming you buy it outright. And there are certain devices I do buy Apple Care for, and certain devices I do not buy Apple Care for. And things like an iPad and an iPhone and AirPods, I do not buy Apple Care for. I just don't think it's a good use of my money. But that is what I would get. Did you run a quick total on what you would get?
No, I was just trying to jot it down, but I haven't managed to. So perhaps we could do a live in UK pounds type thing. Um, So I haven't totted up the total. So yeah, an iPad Pro 12.9, an iMac, and an iPhone, of course. Let's go with a like for like iPhone 16 Pro, something like that. Then in that case, um, and an Apple TV. That's pretty much it, I think.
I think you're right around $4,000 in US dollars.
In dollars, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So in pounds, that's about £12.50,
yeah.
something like that.
So not far off from where I'm at, and
Not
yet
far off at all. Yeah, exactly.
our
A
picks
completely different choice, but
are wildly different picks.
yeah,
But
indeed.
we're still right in that range of $4,000 to $5,000 for
Yeah,
completely
yeah,
replacing your entire ecosystem when Mr. and or Ms. Elephant destroys it all. Not bad.
absolutely.
Not
That's not
bad.
bad, really, when you think about it.
Now, we've already been talking far longer than we should today. We
Oh
do
yes, we have, haven't
we
we?
do have a question from listener Alex. Do we have time to cover that, or do we want to go on to this week's essential app and leave Alex's question for next time? He sent it to you, so you can decide if
He
you want to
did.
include it
He
or not.
did. It depends how deep we go with it, I suppose, because it could turn into um, one of those subjects that you dive into. Although it could, in a way, um, be good to mention anyway, because if you had, like you say, you had a really good quick tip potentially for this as a fix,
No,
which
no,
would
no,
mean that we
not
could
as a.
just.
It's not a fix for that. It's just a quick
Oh,
tip of
okay,
something
something
else.
else.
Yeah.
Okay. Ah, yeah. Well,
Let's save it.
yeah.
Let's save it
Okay, let's
only
save it. Yeah.
because I want to try to understand. I don't even know what his actual question was, so I want to try to understand his question a little bit more, and let's see if we can
Sure.
come up
Yeah.
with a concrete answer for him. Because I know you came up with
That
a
would be a good
workaround,
idea.
but we'll come up with a
Yeah.
concrete
Yeah.
answer if we can, and we'll present it on a future episode.
That sounds good. I'll contact our lovely listener Alex in Oz. Hi, Alex, and see if I can get an example PDF that he has issues with, and then we
Oh,
can
perfect.
use that as a potential example for fixing the issue. Yeah, that'll be absolutely good. We can then go into more detail in the next show.
Okay. Well, let's move on to something that I don't get to do every episode, but I do like to do when I come across something really cool, and that is a For Mac Eyes Only quick tip. Now, you mentioned earlier when we were talking about the Mighty Mouse, not the Mighty Mouse, the Magic Mouse, the Mighty Mouse. I like the Mighty
The
Mouse.
Mighty
The
Mouse,
Mighty Mouse was
excellent. Mighty
awesome.
Mouse.
But when we were talking about the Magic Mouse earlier, you pointed out the charging port on the bottom,
Yes,
right?
the
And the
the not
dreaded
so magic.
the dreaded charging port on the bottom. And the thing is, when you are charging your mouse, and this was a previous quick tip of mine. I said when you're charging your mouse, get out an old mouse. Like right now, I'm using an old
Yeah,
mouse that has AA batteries in it as a spare because my
yeah.
regular mouse is charging. So when your regular mouse is charging and you've got the cable plugged into the bottom of it and you're using a different mouse because you need to keep working, how do you check the battery level on your mouse while it's lying on its back sucking down some juice? Well, if you are like me, you've added a battery widget to your notification center so that when you
Oh,
open up
yes.
Notification Center, you can check and see if it's time to untether the little guy, right? But just this last week, I discovered, and here's the quick tip, just this last week, I discovered by accident, completely by accident, an even quicker way to check the battery level. While your mouse is charging, you just press the mouse button. That's it. Just
Oh.
press the mouse button while it's charging and, give your mouse a little click and a notification will pop up on screen
Oh.
that shows the name of the mouse and its current battery level.
That's amazing. I
Boom.
didn't know that.
I had no idea. Now, the key is your mouse has to be on, right? So as long as it's on and you plug in the charging cable on the bottom of it, what happens?
Yeah,
It automatically disconnects, but it's still connected enough that your Mac can check its
yeah,
charging level. Well, while it's charging, you just click the mouse button and a notification pops up to show you
that's
the current
fabulous.
battery level. Amazing. I had no idea. It's quick, it's simple, it doesn't require opening the widgets on your Mac to see how much longer you have to get to 100%.
Uh,
How could I not know that that existed? And yet, there it is. And how did I discover it? I bumped the mouse while it was charging, and a notification popped up, and I went, how did that happen? Where did that notification come from? And so I clicked the mouse, and it popped up again, and I went, oh my
oh,
gosh, that is amazing. Now,
how did we not know that was there?
I think that's an amazing tip. No longer, if your primary concern to have the battery widget in your notification center is to know how much time is left on your mouse, you don't need that anymore. It's one less thing to have running on your Mac. I will say, though, you may want to keep it in your notification center because I could not find an equivalent while you're charging the keyboard. So, if anyone knows a quick way to check the battery level while your keyboard is charging, equivalent to what I discovered with the mouse, click the mouse, you get a
It's,
notification. What if anything, can you do while the keyboard is charging other than using the widget? If you know, drop me a line, Mike at For Mac Guys Only. But I tried every key on the keyboard to try to get it to respond. And I think the issue is while the keyboard is charging, you can still use it, right?
yes,
You can still use it as a keyboard. In fact,
yes.
there is an auxiliary tip. I have come across so many people who unpack their iMac, connect the charging cable to the back of the keyboard, plug it into the back of their Mac, and leave it like that forever, thinking it needs to be plugged in for the keyboard to
Wow.
work.
Oh, bless them.
I know they don't realize that it's a battery powered
It's a wireless
keyboard
keyboard.
and it's a wireless keyboard. So they think that they have to plug it in to use it. In fact, I just came across that last week. But I think because the keyboard is still active and you can still use it while it's charging, that's why there isn't an equivalent function. But if you know
Potentially.
something,
What,
let me know.
just out of interest, what happens if you turn whilst it's charging, turn the keyboard off and then turn it back on again so it repairs? Do you get a notification that
I
says anything useful?
I turned it off thinking that maybe while it was off, I would be able to hit a key and get some sort of notification, but no. So I did actually turn it off and turn it back on, and I just got the connected
Yeah.
notice. So, yeah,
Well, I must admit, I have the very same widget you were talking about, but it's actually sitting on my desktop. It's not something I have to click into.
right.
And that I find that extremely useful, as you're saying about the battery usage on your keyboard and mouse, but also my headphones.
Yes.
So although these are Bose Bluetooth headphones, I've got a battery indicator, and it's currently telling me I've got 20% battery left in my headphones. So
So we got to wrap it up
oh, yeah,
because there's only
indeed.
20% left in your headphones.
Oh, I see. Oh no, it lasts for ages. This will go on for another day or two.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point. Your battery widget will show your connected Bluetooth devices as well. No matter
Yes,
what that
very
connected Bluetooth
useful.
device is, it could be an external speaker, it could be your headphones, it could be a third party mouse that you connect with Bluetooth. It
That's
will
it.
show
Yeah,
the battery level. Yeah. Yep.
doesn't have to be
Excellent.
an Apple device. And if you
Excellent.
put that directly on your desktop, then even though you are charging your mouse, and you can't wiggle it around because it's on its back,
You'll see it.
you can still see the amount as it's charging.
But if you want to see the amount left or remaining while it's charging, just click the mouse button and you'll get a
Click it. I'll
notification.
have to try that. See what
Super cool.
happens.
Super cool. All right, let's wrap things up with our bonus essential app. You know, we've been doing one every episode since January. Well, a year and a half ago. Now we've been doing a
Wow, we've
bonus
kept it up.
essential app every episode for over a year and a half. And I understand, because you told me, that you have something a little bit different this episode. What is your
Yeah,
essential app,
yeah.
Darren?
My essential app is a little bit strange and also a little bit convoluted. Although I'm using it through my Mac, it's not a Mac app. Although it is, I find it an essential app. So this is for people who have a subscription to Amazon Prime
Hmm.
and want to make the most use of it. So I was reviewing my subscriptions the other day, as we all want to do sometimes. Think, oh, okay, let's pare things down. I don't want to have so many subscriptions that I end up spending more money than I would in the past for everything. So yeah, I was making sure I only subscribe to things I use. So I was looking at Amazon Prime, thinking, oh, shall I unsubscribe? And then I was thinking what I use it for. So I started to use my Amazon Prime membership not just for the usual, which is free postage and easier ordering and so on. I use Amazon Prime Video as well, so that's an extra thing, all built into the same subscription. But I recently have moved away from Spotify. So I used to use free account
Yes.
Spotify setup. So I decided to investigate what I could get with Amazon Music. And interestingly, within the same subscription price, you don't get everything, of course, not the full experience, but you do get a surprising amount of usability of Amazon Music with the subscription you've already got. But the app, the Magic App choice is two-tiered. So when I started using Amazon Music, I usually used that through, or I did use that through the website on my Mac. But there is a slight problem with that sometimes. Sometimes it will play one track and then decide to play another track over the top of the first track, and you get a complete mess. So there's a slight issue there with the web experience. So I was looking for something different. And it just so happens that the best Amazon Music experience I can get is by utilizing the what's it called? I always forget the name of this. By using iPhone mirroring. So my choice is the
Interesting.
Amazon Music. Yeah, my choice is the Amazon Music app on the iPhone, but used through the Mac using iPhone mirroring. Because of course, and I'd only just realized this by trying it out today, funnily enough, that of course all of not only the visuals but all of the audio is routed through your phone to your iMac, and you get the lovely experience of having an Amazon Music experience with the very nice lyrics experience you get there as well, on the desktop of my Mac, with the full audio experience being rather nice. But it's sort of farming off the burden of running the Amazon Music experience onto the phone, but you're still experiencing it through the Mac using iPhone mirroring. So my choice is the Amazon Music app through iPhone mirroring as a desktop music solution. If you're already subscribing to Amazon Prime, you might as well make as much use of it as you could possibly do, and have a little look into how good the Amazon Music experience is. So that's my choice.
Naturally, I have a question.
Excellent.
have you tried the Amazon Music app for Mac OS?
I did look and I couldn't find one.
Oh,
I also did look for the
I have one.
there's another interesting idea there. Um, but this also ties in, my pick in a way ties in with some of the other things I do. So say, for instance, I have my PC over in the corner, which I remote onto. And if I'm also remoting onto my iPhone, I'm effectively using three devices on one mission control desktop setup. So I'm spreading the load, as it were. So all the burden of running the music services on one device, and all the burden of running the my 8.6 apps on another device, and so on. And my lovely Mac doesn't even break into a sweat because it's not doing all of these functions.
Which is a really, really good reason to do it the way that you do it. Uh, as you said, you're offloading that
That's it.
processing to your iPhone, which is otherwise not doing anything in the background.
Yeah.
Uh, so I did double check while you were explaining that. There is still, at least in the US, there's an Amazon Music for Mac. You do have to go to the uh, amazon.com/music/Amazon music app website. And then there's a banner in the center that says, listen to music and podcast with the Amazon Music desktop app. Get the app. And when you click on that, the DMG for macOS downloads. So there is still a
Oh, that is
version,
interesting.
at least in the US, there's still a version for the Mac if you opt to go that way. So that was question one. Question two does not answer the question of offloading the processing of playing the music to your phone, which is, again, a really good reason to do it. But
Hmm.
the alternative would be to install the Amazon Music app for iOS on your
Yes.
Mac, if it's
Uh,
available as a download in the Mac App
yeah.
Store. I don't know if you've looked.
I did look for that. So initially, I looked for a Mac native app in the App Store, which I couldn't find. As you say, it may be a country specific licensing
Yeah.
type thing.
I think you got to go directly
Um,
to Amazon to
I
get it. Yeah.
I didn't think of going directly to the Amazon website to see if there was a music desktop app for the Mac, so I didn't think of that. But I did think of looking for an iPad slash iPhone app to run on the Mac. Of course, the Mac being ARM based now, that is a really good option, but only if the developer allows it. So if the
Right.
developer allows that option to say, allow my iOS app to run on the Mac, it's no extra work for the developer. They just tick the box to say allow it or not allow it.
Yep.
Um, uh, it doesn't look as if they've done that. So I wasn't able to directly use the Amazon iOS app on the Mac from the App Store at least. So yes, that doesn't look like it's a go, which is why I went down this road of experimenting with iPhone mirroring, and I just had such a good experience with the iPhone mirroring side. I thought, well, I don't need it.
I honestly, I do think the offloading of that process to the phone is one of the best reasons to do it the way that you're doing it. Um, I was also going to comment, and then we'll wrap up. We'll wrap up the show after this comment. But I
Fabulous.
was also going to comment that it's one of the things I love so much about the Apple Mac ecosystem, not the Apple
Yes.
ecosystem, but the Apple Mac ecosystem, is the sheer flexibility that all of us have in using the devices how we want to use them. In other words,
Yes.
I never, ever, ever think to go to the App Store first. And yet I know from other conversations that you always go to the App Store first. And
I
so,
always go to the App Store first.
right. And so for me, I naturally just go to Amazon and search for the
Into the
app, and oh,
website.
there it is. Why are you having so much trouble finding it? And yet you had trouble finding it because Amazon said, hey, we're not going to release it through the App Store because we don't want to give up 30% if someone decides to buy music through it. So I get that.
But the Amazon Video app does exist
But you can't
on
buy
the
through
Mac.
it.
The music one doesn't.
You can play. You can play through it, but you can't buy
Oh, no
through it.
purchase options.
And
Okay, yeah,
I think people are more, this is only
interesting.
supposition, but I think people are more inclined to casually buy music than they are to casually buy videos. So,
Yeah, good point.
this is only pure speculation, but I would think that Amazon sees an advantage to having the app made for the Mac directly versus through the App Store because you
Yes,
are from the
that's fair
Mac
enough. Yeah,
more likely to want to buy some music that you're listening to because it's 99 cents or whatever it is. It's a throwaway thought. It's like, well, it's only $1. I really like this song. I'm going to buy it.
yeah.
And if you're running it through the App Store, there may be a limitation on that because Amazon doesn't want to give up that
Well, true. Although
30%.
there is an Amazon Kindle app for the Mac, and that
But
allows purchases,
but that is not through the App Store.
isn't it? Oh,
I don't think so. I think
that's.
well, again, I downloaded mine
I'll have
directly
to.
from Amazon. I don't go to the
Oh,
App Store.
that's
I'm
a
not
good
an App Store
question.
first person. I'm a go to the developer first person. But yeah,
Uh,
there may be. I don't know.
well, there you go. No, there is a Mac App Store version of the Kindle app,
But it'll be
so it does
interesting to see if there are
exist.
differences. I wonder if you can purchase a Kindle book through that app.
I've not tried, but that would be interesting to see. But yeah,
Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But I just wanted to comment on what I love so much about the Mac ecosystem is that we have choices. We have choices how we
indeed.
want to set up the resolution of our displays. We have choices of the apps we want to run. We have choices for where we get those apps. And that flexibility is so incredibly powerful. And I appreciate it so much. So that was the only comment I had. Good on you
Perfect.
for using the App Store, Darren, but I'm going to go direct to the developers. And with that said, that's going to do it for this episode of For Mac Eyes Only. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Remember, we do love to get your letters, so if you have any comments about the show, a tip to share, a software or hardware problem with your Mac, be sure to leave your favorites in the comments of this week's show notes found at formaceysonly.com or drop me a line, mike@formaceysonly.com. And do be sure to subscribe to the show's YouTube channel at youtube.com/FMEOTV and click that little notification bell so you can find out when we are going live. You can join the chat room and you can catch all the behind the scenes stuff that doesn't make the final cut of the show. And there will be a lot this episode. With that said, Darren, what's the best way for folks to get a hold of you?
Well, if anyone wants to send me a lovely email, that would be very appreciated. My email is darren@formaceysonly.com.
Awesome. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. Thanks to Darren for joining me this episode. Stay subscribed, and we'll talk to you next time. All right, Darren, I'm going to throw the end card up. We'll say goodbye to the live stream, and then I'll be back with you in just a second.
Fabulous.
Bye, live stream.